There's just nothing there, Joe. Like, you can talk about the match with Cody in the cage. You could talk about, the thumb and the taping of the thumb and, beating John Cena and that really funny match in Saudi. But it's just like, when you really look at it, I mean, what does this guy, what does he have? Really, what does he have? The crowd doesn't buy him. He's not the best wrestler in his stable. People laugh at the guy. He's turning into a meme online because you can't take him seriously. And at the end of the day, the other guy, you can say whatever you want about him, but I mean, God, he has a tsunami, and he does it a lot, and people like that, and he does it like 4 or 5 times, 6 times. The fans chant one more time, and then referees fly all over the place. Like, I mean, it's exciting, it's fun. He does it on cars and tables and in the middle of the ring.
Problem with that is that in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years,
where it's gonna go.
When we're making towns, selling Bloodline 8x10s, Solo Sikoa's going to hit that spike at 65 years old. Ron Reed ain't hitting no tsunami at 45 years old, brother. He certainly ain't going to be doing it at 65 years old.
Because he's going to die a legend at 45 after he has some great matches under his belt and legendary moments, tsunami off the cage.
I'll be waiting for those. I'm not going to kill him off. I'm not saying he's dying. I mean, you went in that direction. I didn't. But I'm not sure about the classic matches.
I'm telling you, Joe, when we get on air, I'm going to ask this audience. I'm going to ask this audience when we get on air about this Bronson Reed solo thing, because if you ask me,
I don't care. I don't even work here anymore, dude. I don't care. All I know is I got many emails before we went live. We just came to the StreamYard.
Wait, we're live right now?
No, we're not live. But I mean,
I was going to say,
stepped in the studio, the booth.
Right. Yeah.
I got many emails about the SmackDown rating, and I was sitting here racking my brain, like, why is the number down? Like, Cody was on, Solo was on. Then it dawned on me. They shot the angle, right? I mean, the big man's in now. Bronson Reed's in. The houses are going to be tumbling any minute now. I mean, God only knows. I'd imagine there's already some refunds about the Survivor Series. I'd be calling up the box office.
Reed has just turned the Bloodline into a 55-win team. They're a tough out in playoffs now. What are you going to do in the middle? Now you have an interior presence, shot blocking, post-up play, Solo at the top of the key running point. You got Tama Tonga banging threes in the corner. It's a great fucking game.
He's coming off screens. Tama's coming off screens.
Exactly.
Dribble hand off.
he's waiting for the spot up. He's just he catches that shit, hits the threes. You know what I mean? Bronson Reed just he's I was gonna say alley oop, but he can't jump to do the alley oop. But you give him the ball in the post, post up with that big butt and just jump hook. You know what I mean?
Here's the one thing Bronson Reed's never going to be able to say he did. He's never going to have got Montel WP to drive down to London to see one match at the O2 Arena.
Not a chance.
And whether Solo deserves credit for that or not, doesn't matter. He was in the damn match.
I was going to say, Solo
he was there. Joe's already said it, bro. In 15, 20 years from now, when the law is being told again, Solo's name will pop up, bro.
Yeah.
You know what's nasty about this is if you go to Cage Match, Solo has way more 4-star matches from Dave this year than Reed, and that doesn't reflect reality, which makes it funny. Like that does not reflect reality at all. Joe, Solo has like 6 4-star matches.
Well, I've seen them with my own eyes. That Cody match at the SummerSlam, classic. I can't wait. I'll buy the Blu-ray.
That match is so bad, dude.
Yeah, it sucks, but that wasn't.
It might not fit in the cage,
I guess.
The Cage match was a classic.
All right, let's relax now. You know what I mean?
We should probably go live in a minute.
You started this, You want to come in here and doing all your Bronson Reed praise and
I'm not
having it, bro.
Guys, look, it's 6:34. I advertised this thing at 6:15. You know what I mean? They're gonna blame me for us being late. That's the funny part about it.
They should.
All right, Monty, hit the countdown. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to WrestlePurists Worldwide. This is the podcast about nothing. Special episode tonight on this Monday evening. And we're joined as usual by the boss man, the Don, the man in the big chair, Montel WP. But a returning big-time superstar here, folks. The man, the myth, the legend, big Joe Holbert, like his boy, Bronson Reed. But we're not going to get any backstage business. We're not going to do any of that stuff. I don't want to. That's backstage. We're on air. We're live in front of this awesome audience who's hot for us. Joe Holbert is back on Worldwide. It's his second return appearance since his retirement. Joe Holbert of JHP fame, who's currently rocking the house, with his paywall and all his content over there, which is going great. But he's here today to be with us to talk about nothing. Because on tonight's show, we have no set topics. We have no set discussions. We have no wrestling shows we're going to cover because that's lame. That's remarks, right? Tonight, we're going to sit around and talk about fucking nothing. We're going to just talk, and wherever it goes, it goes. And if you want to send super chats and make us argue or stir up controversy or ask us questions, go for it if you want to. If you want to see a proper discussion about something, feel free. Shoot us. Not literally shoot us, but, shoot us a super chat, right? The phone lines are open, so feel free to go through that. Like the video if you haven't liked the video. Drop a comment when the video is over, all that stuff. Subscribe to us. If you're not subscribed to WrestlePurists, send us super chats, like I said, for questions and takes and all that stuff. But I'm joined by Monty. I'm joined by the big man. We're going to get in this ring, and we're going to work a hold and show you kids how to fucking work. And with that said, Joe, big man, how you doing today?
I'm great. I don't have to look far for my inspiration for tonight's performance because I have the big LG in hand. I'll be working the apron. I'll be working nerve holds and chin locks and such. And I'm excited to be here, brother. It's been a long time since I was on the Worldwide. The last time I was here was Worldwide 100, where I think I tagged in twice. And otherwise, you did like a solo Q&A show while I just sat here with Anna and Monty read at like the most violent pace I've ever seen a man read comments before. So I was told you guys don't have any topic tonight. You says the show about nothing. And I mean... Yeah. That's a good thing for me because I don't really watch wrestling, so I should be outfitting on this show. I feel
it's like LG being backstage, and he's praying that the guy he's working isn't telling him to let's call this in the back and come up with spots, and then he's kind of like, So what's the game plan, brother? And they're like, we'll just figure it out there, man. We got 10 minutes. And he's like, oh, hell yeah, Biz quiz me, brother. And he just fucking toasted it too sweet, you know. And he's just, hell yeah. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I apologize for the lateness of this podcast, everybody. We got a little out of hand backstage with a really dumb debate that I have no interest in bringing to the forefront, but I do apologize for that. We're live here. And again, like I said, you guys can dictate the conversation here if you'd like to. You can send us super chats. You can have fun with all that. But before we start the super chats, Monty, how has your weekend been, sir?
How's my weekend been? It was okay. You know, I had some family commitments. Had some nice time, some wholesome time with the family, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing too exciting, Ibble. Nothing too exciting. But we're here now. We got Joe Hulbert, you know.
We are here. And
I will
say, this is a topicless show, but there was a big show last night, Joe. A show that we watched that happened. And very anticipated because we had to figure out who was going to win the WWF Championship. And we found out last night because the title was up for grabs. It was vacated. McMahon announced as much, and they did this Deadly Game tournament last night at Survivor Series. And we were trying to figure out, like, what's going on here? Like, who's really on the corporation side? Like, what's happening here? Who are the corporation going to use to defeat Rock and Austin? And the answer was Rock was a part of their team. It was this big whole conspiracy, this big whole scheme. Boss Man was in on it. He was helping Dwayne out. And then ultimately, in the main event of the show, he defeats Mankind. And then we find out because Vince gets the bell rang, and it's a whole screw job situation. He's the people's champion, or sorry, the corporate champion. And Austin had already been screwed in the previous round. And it looks like we're setting up for WrestleMania, Rock and Austin. And I think that's big time. I thought the angle was great. I got to give credit to Vince Russo. You know, I did read on PW Torch that he had a big part of this whole thing, so I got to give him credit for that. But I thought it was a really fun show, a really good story-driven show, and the main event was crazy. What did you think of Survivor Series, Joe?
An interesting show, not one for the star ratings,
yeah,
which I think will be a big topic of discussion, you know, across the next coming weeks. But
yeah,
I thought it was one of those broad stroke situations. You know, they got the big picture correct. The main event was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming along real nice, and I think there's money. Like, and eventually, when they flip him back, he'll be even hotter because of this, right?
That's the thing. It's like the fans want to love Rock. They're into him on this show.
Yeah.
But it's like now he's going to get hotter as a heel working Austin. Austin finally has a villain to take on that isn't Kane or Taker, which is going to be great for those main events. Those matches are going to be money. And like you said, maybe when you want to move Austin to something and you turn Rock a babyface, he may be the biggest babyface we've seen in America in years.
The biggest challenge for them is they have to be careful with the Foley character because he was kind of the punching bag here, and he's great at that, and he's sympathetic, but they've got to be careful. Like, you have to give him a little bit along the way. Like, I think he needs to have a moment. You know, obviously this is about Austin. Austin's the guy.
Yeah.
But you can still throw Mick a bone, right? Like, I think he can't just be a guy who Dwayne just beats out every single week, right? Like, I think Maivia has come a long way, but like some 50-50 there that could be done. And I think, and hopefully it's one of those situations where Foley gets himself a moment, but he brings Rock up along the way. So I'm excited, man. I mean, broad strokes, you know, I'm a WCW guy, but like, I'm not necessarily lie. I mean, we're in some trouble right now. Yeah.
That's the thing, dude. I was just about to say, like, I love WCW. I like their roster better than WWF's, but creatively, it's just not on. It's just not in order. Which is what it was going to segue to my next question. I'll ask Monty because I know you're an Enjoy All Wrestling guy. You watch both shows, Nitro and Raw, right? So I'm going to ask you this question.
I try.
Like,
you know,
Dave just wrote in the Observer this week. He said that like Rey Mysterio's contract is coming up real soon. Benoit's, Eddie's, Jarrett, the Steiners, right? And he said basically that Jarrett's value is low and that he shouldn't, like, he's not going to have much value if he switches over. And I get that. Jarrett's just kind of a guy on Raw and stuff. He said that Jericho would be a top 3 worker in WWF if he switched, and that he has upside over there in New York because of the personality and the charisma, even though he's undersized. What do you think about that analysis with Jericho? And what do you think of his analysis that Eddie shouldn't make the jump because he's undersized, and that Benoit could make it because his work is more tough than it is pretty? What do you think of that analysis?
So when it comes to this sort of thing,
right,
adding on to the conversation you guys just had, titles changing, people, you know? So you'd rather be on the winning team, struggling to climb up the card, than just dying on the losing team, you know? So that's how I look at these things. As it goes for Jarrett, at this point in his game, I'm not really fussed what he does or doesn't do, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, he's just kind
Jericho,
of treading water. Yeah, he's never going to get pushed anywhere. He's never going to win a world title in any territory. He'd have to make his own company to like get pushed at this point.
Jericho being top 3 workers, you know, he's there might be something to that argument. Ibby, what do you think?
I think Jericho's a bit overrated as a wrestler. I think just because he hangs out with like, you know, that kind of collective of dudes, like in the cruiserweight division, he kind of gets categorized with them, and he does the Japan dates. And I would know. I sent Joe a tape over the other week from WAR, and I think he watched it. But the thing about it is, he's not quite as good as them, but he is good, and he does have the personality upside. I don't know how that's going to work with Steve Austin, some of those dudes, but I would say that I could see him on Monday Night Raw cutting a promo, getting the fans real into it. He's a real fun guy. He tried to do the stuff with Goldberg. It didn't work out. You know, there was all those rumors about, like, you know, the politics getting involved, you know, halting us from seeing that match, which I would have liked to see. But I mean, the Ralphus stuff is fun, and I think Jericho's a good personality. What do you say, Joe?
No, it's a big man business. I think we're pushing our luck with, you know, Foley, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
I think there's a clear blueprint as to what wrestling stars look like. I think, if anything, the WWF should really consider taking another punt on Sid. You know, I think, you know, the box office.
I think Sid's time's done, man. I don't know.
I mean, I give you a like, look, it's not ideal.
I want to see him work Goldberg personally. I think that'd be so fucking.
That'd be great. Yeah. Maybe some blood in there. I don't know. It's difficult, man. Like, I'm all for these conversations. I know Dave loves the guys in their matches and the suplexes and stuff, but it's just it's undercard stuff. I mean, that's the one thing. Like, look, say what you will about Bischoff, but he's right about that. Like, you know, it's all well and good Eddie working for the TV strap or whatever, but you know, we've got money to draw on top, bro. I mean, it is what it is.
Do you think we'll ever reach a time in this business where like the fans will embrace what these guys are doing in Japan? Because I just read in the Observer this week that Misawa and Kobashi had, what a surprise, another match of the year. And I mean, last year they had the match of the year. It wasn't rated at because you know the American marks wanted to give it to Austin and Brett, which is, I mean, it was good, but like I see what these guys are doing in all Japan, and then you see what the junior heavyweights are doing everywhere in Japan, and it's like, do you ever think maybe that could like really come over? And I'm not talking ECW where it's not a big time company, you know what I mean? Like, do you really think, is there ever a chance that like a Misawa or maybe like a Kawada comes over to like maybe WCW and gets pushed? Is that possible?
No, it's not. I think the worst thing that could happen for those matches, to be honest, is the public being able to watch them. Like,
what
if we ever get to a point where people can watch those matches live, they'll realize just it's phony, dude. Like, people really think Kevin Nash can go over there and have those matches if he wanted to. You know, this is what like to me, this is like propaganda at this point. I'm not saying Dave's getting paid by the people at Pros, you know, All Japan, whatever. Like, I'm just saying, to me, as someone who studies the business, there's nothing that a Kenta Kobashi can do that, you know, Big Sexy can't do on a Monday night. You know, granted it's bite size. You know, we're not going 25, 30 minutes. We respect people's time. We'll give them a tight 90, get in and out. You know, but I think there's a lot to be said. Like, we're talking about all these young guys, but, you know, what's old is new. And, yeah, people are laughing right now because the Havoc match wasn't good, but don't count Ultimate Warrior out, dude, because people is quick to forget, man. 2 months ago, we were covering that return, and it was the biggest story in wrestling, you know?
I know
he has one bad match.
Warrior always sucked. He always sucked.
Oh, here we go.
He always fucking sucked. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, the guy can't work. He can't go. Randy Savage had to carry his sorry ass at WrestleMania. You know, Hogan somehow had that good match with him in Toronto, but this guy
drew money though, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying.
He drew money. You're talking about all these vanilla guys that Dave loves and gives his stars.
He could never go.
Look, I don't agree with Sid being on top like Joe, but I see the vision. You know, Sid, Ultimate Warrior. These people draw proven money.
Yeah, dude.
This is
Piper's got enough running.
Thinking about money.
You said who? Roddy Piper?
Piper's got juice left. I mean, we got.
No, he doesn't.
There's stories if there's stories to tell, there's money to be made. You know, I mean, I've been on this for. People doubt me on this stuff. Just wait and see. Just wait and see, because Warrior, look, him and Hogan. There's obviously some politics, but ain't my place to speak on that. But when he gets in there with a pro. I mean, you imagine when DDP can lay out a match with Warrior and they get some time. I mean, I think they could have a Broadway on TV and pop a number.
Not
Yeah.
Not in my America, not in Bill Clinton's America. You know what I mean? So I can't. I don't know, man. Look, I'll say this, folks. A lot of good discussion here. You let us know what you think. Where should Chris Jericho go? Where should Eddie Guerrero go? Where should Benoit go? Where should Jarrett go? Where should the Giant go? I think he should go to WWF. I think he'd make some big time money, maybe doing some corporation stuff, working with Austin. I think that would probably be pretty big time. But let us know what you guys think they should do. And give us any other opinions that maybe you'd like to give us, ask us questions, and we'll answer through those too. But this conversation will continue because things look very interesting going into 1999 when it comes to just the trends in pro wrestling. And, these guys can dismiss me all they want. I think those guys in All Japan, those guys in New Japan, those guys in AAA, they're the future of this goddamn business. They are. I really think they are. I think someday somebody with vision is going to make a company embracing what those guys do in pro wrestling.
Is that going to be the Jarrett one you were talking about? Yeah.
I think.
Bro.
Well, here's the thing. Pushing Jarrett on top of that type of stuff might be crazy. I don't know if that's going to work, but I'll tell you what, I'd watch it. I'd fucking watch it. You just
hope that we never get to a point in this world where people can tune in live and watch these pretend matches you're always talking about, right? Because then you'll be exposed. And then the truth will be out there for everyone to understand.
You think so? You think
I know so. I know so.
You think once we get unlimited access to this in real time, it's going to break wrestling?
Of course, dude. People don't want to actually watch these matches. They want to see, still shots in the Observer, VHS prints.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna totally dismiss you on that. But I still feel there's something there, man. I think there's something there, and I think some of these guys could be big time stars. What do you guys think? Let's go to these super chats, man.
And that's just Alton $5 says, I like Travis Scott a lot. I like Travis Scott a lot. Cool to see his music be the Raw theme, but to be honest, I need it to be really good. I'm sick of the amount of mid themes right now.
There hasn't been a good wrestling TV show theme song in a very long time, and people wanted to lie to themselves about the SmackDown Meg Thee Stallion thing. And I like Travis. I think he's up and down. Could he make a good hype song for Netflix Raw? He could. Will it be good? I don't know. I guess we shall see. Joe, did you see Paul Levesque on stage with Travis?
No, I didn't. No.
Monty, we should be able to play that on air without any issue, right? It's just a Travis Scott concert clip, right?
We're not doing that.
That sounds scary. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Joe, he walks on and he's basically just kind of we're here live with Travis Scott. He gives him the hardcore championship and he's like, You're Cactus Jack, you're the hardcore champion. And Scott's is interrupting, where we at? What's going on? What's up? Talk to me. And he's like, I'm talking to you. And he's just kind of where's this going to be? He's like, Netflix Raw. What's going on? Netflix Raw. It's going down. Where we going to be at? And Hunter's just thrown off by his interruptions. He's like, the Intuit Dome. He's like, where that at? He's like, California, LA. It's the funniest thing.
Do you remember when Jimmy and Roman pulled up to the building and Jimmy was like, I haven't heard that Travis before, and Roman goes, no one has. Remember that when they gave him a sneak peek?
Yeah. Jimmy's walking out bumping it that new Travis lit ooze.
Darren KG 499. Appreciate you. Hell of a pay-per-view WF had last night. Compelling show, long story telling. Bossman was helping Rock the whole time. Austin, Rock got to be the WrestleMania main event.
I think.
By the way, lest we forget, Monty, you'll remember. Remember Ibu trying to get Bossman out of the business? So he's washed. It's over.
Oh, bro, we don't know. This is what I'll never let him live that down, bro.
The Ray trailer tags are terrible.
Bossman's better than half of those little guys that you just named.
It's all packaging.
Yes,
and he has those.
Bossman's a better worker than Chris Jericho.
He's taller than Rey Mysterio Jr.
He's better than Super Calo? Are you kidding me?
Oh, dude, he had those matches in Japan back in the days. The ones you pretend about. I've seen those ones. They had a good wrestler in them.
But it's just, to me, it's like you take Bossman over Hoovy?
Oh, come on.
What? Lismark Jr.?
What are these fellas weighing at these days, brother?
Give me a real name, you know.
It's come on.
We're talking Bossman, bro.
Dandy? One day, someone's going to cut a promo where they finally put over how good this guy is. And it has to be a main event wrestler.
I will not be there.
We'll see.
Darren Darren Walker, £5, appreciate you. Ibu, with MLW in New York on the 5th of December, will you go? Can interview Bischoff and Court for WrestlePurists. I'm sure Joe doing a green light too. Someone mentioned this on Thursday because we found out that it's I think it's in Queens.
Is that the Bischoff one night?
Yeah. One shot. Get you some credentials, man.
I'd rather just like watch it from the comfort of my home and laugh at it. I don't know if I'd want to go into
just think of the beats, bro. Imagine if you could interview Bischoff like in person.
If I hit up their PR and they give me a free ticket, I'd think about it.
They would, I think. I don't know. Court Bauer don't need money anymore.
Nigga, more people watch worldwide than people watch Fusion. So like, shit.
God bless. But yeah, we're sending Ibu on a media.
Have you guys seen Bischoff's card for that thing so far, Joe?
No.
Dijak Riddle.
I saw that. Yeah.
There was another one like Trevor Lee and somebody. I want to say. I think.
Well.
So
need some Bobby Fish on there.
Yeah, probably. Scott Danielson, 199. Appreciate your percentage chance Punk wrestles at the Survivor Series.
All I'll say is this: if you guys remember last week, I reached out to CM Punk's camp, and I transparently said that I asked if he'd be at TV, and it was left on red, and I said that usually when it's left on red, it means something. And then hilariously, like 30 minutes into the podcast, I got a reply, and it was just kind of like, it's his day off. Was the reply that I got, and so that was a false alarm. However, I did reach out to his camp again over this weekend. And essentially, I just basically postulated and theorized openly in front of his camp. I was out the door, and the camp manager was watching. And I just kind of said, hey, man, are you the secret weapon for Paul Heyman? And that was also left unseen. And then when I heard from the camp again, the topic was switched and changed to something completely different. Does that mean something? I don't know. I do not know.
Did the camp watch Survivor Series 98 by any chance? Is that what they were talking about?
I don't know. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah,
so who knows? I think now is the point, though, Monty. This was hard. This was something that we couldn't aggregate because it wasn't a formal report.
But we can talk about it properly.
I was gonna say, would you like to share with the class what Mike Johnson was doing on his audio?
All right. So Mike Johnson on PW Insider Elite, he didn't report it, hence why we didn't aggregate it. But like, he seems fully convinced that CM Punk is the fifth man. And he's like Paul Heyman's secret weapon, and he referenced like how when Paul Heyman and Punk had that segment, and Heyman was like, "Take me with you," and etc. etc. So, like I said, he seems very confident. Like I said, he didn't report it. He didn't say like according to sources or anything like that. But he seems very adamant that CM Punk will be the fifth man on the on the Roman side.
He wasn't even going like I think. Like he was just like. He's like, folks, CM Punk is the fifth man. He is the fifth. Like, it's him.
Look, I'm telling you.
And I'm like, do you have a reason? Is this like a fan opinion? Is this a theory? Because what's going on with Seth then? And da-da-da. And he just, like, Joe, if you listen to it, he was being very, like, severe and frank and, like, steadfast in this. Like, he was just straight up going, like, there's a reason why they're doing this Heyman mystery. There's a reason why Roman heard Heyman's dial tone at the end of the show and that they're doing that. And what I'll say to add to his theory, or not theory, this belief, is that for all the people going like it's straightforward, it's just Seth. So the people that are saying that, then what is this Heyman thing leading to? Because he is yet to be back. He was attacked by Solo and the Bloodline, and they're building to something with Paul, which is going to obviously be paid off imminently. So what is that going to be? And I did do some research. I went back and I saw the Punk Paul Heyman segment, and in the segment it was noted Paul Heyman said that even though I serve as the wise man to your tribal chief Roman Reigns, CM Punk is my best friend. And he gets in the ring and they put each other over and he hugs him and he basically tells them like, please stay away from Solo. They got some wild Tongans and Samoans. You don't want anything to do with those guys. Blah 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 blah. And at the end of it, he asked him the favor and he basically said like, take those guys down and take me with you. And that Punk never answered the question, and we never got the follow-up to that. So What do you think of this theorizing, Joe? Do you think this? Do you think this is possible? Do you think that you might be close to salvation here?
I don't know. I'm hopeful because it would explain some other weird happenings regarding this show and Punk's usage on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not going to be expecting it because I think that would go very poorly for all of us. I'm hopeful. I'm going to be completely real. Like, my interest in the match is very dependent on this because the idea of adding Seth and Bronson is very strange to me. And I know this is easy for me to say, right? But like, putting aside what you think of those two, because I know that I'm the minority on that. That's okay. It just feels like such an unnecessary. Well, yeah, but it's such an unnecessary. Like, do you know? It's just kind of weird. Like, why would you add? It doesn't. It's not like they're these names that add like a huge deal of attraction. It just kind of dilutes the bloodline element.
Yeah.
Now, if you were doing it to do some stuff with Punk that's going to launch into a Roman CM Punk thing, then the juice would be worth the squeeze, right? So
that's a great point. It's like the add-ons have to like give this something. And the weird thing is, so here's my take, because I'm in between you guys in this way. So adding two guys that are just opposite their own feud is lame to me, where it's just kind of like, let's just clip on a different feud to this and then they're on the different teams. Like, that's whack. Bronson as just an individual extra monster to add to Solo, like, complete all bits aside and our backstage argument aside, like, in all seriousness, I like this kind of like 80s wrestling element of like Solo the mastermind just finding another monster in the promotion to kind of join his forces to like lead the thing. That's kind of cool to me, right? That's old school Survivor Series, it's old school pro wrestling, and the way it was portrayed was very much that type of thing, because like Solo's being maniacal, he's like laughing maniacally as like Bronson stands alongside Jacob, and now it's just like, man, like, what are our heroes going to do now? Another monster? So individually, I like that component by itself, right? But him doing it to just be like, I want to get my hands on Seth is like super lame, even though that isn't his motives. His motives individually are just like, I want to be a main eventer. Like, that's his whole thing. So I say all that to say this. The Seth Rollins factor is really problematic on numerous levels. I think it's character assassination, because last week he had like the best like dialogue his character has had in months, where he basically told Sami Zayn, like, respectfully, go fuck yourself. Like, genuinely go fuck yourself. You're like an absolute fool for even like buying in all this stuff. You're a fool for working with this piece of shit that I worked tirelessly and gave up my knee to like stop and take him down. And now we all want to prop up Roman Reigns. Fuck that and fuck him. And then he told Solo Sikoa the same thing. You're a fraud. I hate Roman, but I don't like you either. So if he goes back on that, it's character assassination and it's lame, and I don't even want to see him in the match. So I think I would gain a ton of respect for the character of Seth if he genuinely, at the end of all this, legitimately is like, dude, this is not like a red herring. I genuinely want nothing to do with any of you guys. Leave me alone. And then you could do something with him and Reigns in months later off of that. And you could also set up him and Punk when he takes the offer and he's like, well, I don't give a fuck about any of that. You know, I'm not here to make friends.
Right. And then Seth can be like, that's the most CM Punk thing ever.
Yeah,
like, you just took this as a chance. Yeah, like, you just took this as a chance to be center of attention without even thinking about what was at play here. You know, like,
and you know what? As we're discussing this, I actually do think this is very possible, because then you could say, because the question I was asking when I heard the Mike Johnson audio was, so what was the Seth stuff about besides him just saying no? But then you could say the Seth stuff was to set up him and Punk. So if it does come together in that way, I do like it as a juice the matchup, create some excitement, you get the big reveal, and then you build like numerous matches for like the first half of next year off of it. I do like that, and I hope that's what it is. If it's straight up just we've clipped on Seth and Bronson Reed opposite, it's just mid as fuck to me and not interesting. And you're lucky, Joe, consider yourself lucky that you haven't had to like scroll through like a bunch of like they call it raw lanes, like mansplaining posts where people just explain like the lore of the Shield and like.
Well, but look, you know, I'm all for fans embracing their part of the fandom. I'm not. I genuinely am not even doing a Seth bad bit here at all. Like, I just think it's when you've dedicated this much time to Bloodline versus Bloodline. I just think you should only add to that if it's something that's like very, very particular, in the sense that I think if you're doing this, that means that Punk and Roman are on a collision course for Mania. To be completely honest, that's what I believe. I'm not saying that's why it's happening. I'm saying if they go in this direction, that's what I think is the reason. You know, you don't attack something just for the sake of it, right? There has to be a follow-up that's coming with that. And folks, we have to stress, Mania season, with the way the game is, especially right now, and how much power the top guys have, everyone's circling, figuring out what their Mania match is.
Yeah,
right?
you've been big on this for a while now.
Because it's the truth. You know it better than I do. It's all the top guys are looking at where they're landing at WrestleMania because that's what matters most, right? Yeah. So
it's not get me on Survivor. It's literally just like, how can I get into a program that's going to lead me to something at Mania that will get me on that card and it'll be big time.
And what's the biggest match for CM Punk at WrestleMania?
It's not Seth, even though that's imminent and that could happen at Mania. The biggest match Punk can do right now, straight up, is Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Or Cody's off the table for him.
Or Cody. Cody probably is not going to happen. Kevin Owens, maybe. Like, that's a maybe. That's going to be up to certain situations. But that's up to certain situations. But I'll say what, that's a good back pocket program for like the summer.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
That's a great
time of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of Punk actually being in War Games, I'm gonna give it like 20%. I'm not confident in it. I feel like it's just like hope.
I'm 80%. I'm 80% sure he will be at Survivor Series. Is what I'll say.
Okay.
I'll personally say 80. Regarding the hope and the weird like improbability feeling of it, you know what it kind of does replicate, Joe and Monty? The feeling last year where it just kind of felt hard to get a read on going into Survivor Series if he was going to be there. And we all kind of felt like leaning towards, I'm not going to count on it because I'll be disappointed. And I remember even watching the show in real time, Joe. I'm watching that War Games and I'm telling my brother, I'm like, dude, he's not coming out. The big surprise is Randy. And they spoiled it and told you it was Randy so that people wouldn't be mad, so that people wouldn't riot when it's not Punk. And he's like, I know, bro, but da-da-da. And I'm like, no, man, I'm telling you that they're working the sheets, da-da-da-da. It's Randy, and they told you so that you're not disappointed. That's what it is. Randy comes out, and then Punk comes out at the end, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? So they could recreate that if they wanted to. We'll see if they do.
All right. Well, let's try to get through some super chats. Let's do it. Don't know 499. Ibu, thoughts on Camelito versus Caminito? CMLL stars appearing on AEW TV again.
So I forgot about CMLL this weekend, and I didn't know that they already did that match, but I'm actually legitimately anticipating it. It's the best minis program in years between Kemalito and Kemonito. I'm very excited for that. I'm going to make sure Joe reviews that on a My Match Monday. And and as for CMLL All Stars reappearing on TV again, genuinely no bit, this makes me more interested in their TV because
100%,
because they were gonna really go hard on this earlier in the year because AEW's goal was for you to know who CMLL's top guys are in time for Forbidden Door. That's why around February you were starting to see Mystico, and they're starting to kind of get Volador Jr. in the mix and guys like that. And they wanted to ingratiate those people on the shows ahead of time, which is very smart. You're doing it in February so that by June, they have a good feel for these people. Look at how quick Hedgesero got over on Collision. And so they wanted to do that. And then it got cut off with the visa situation, which really sucked. So I don't know what this is going to lead to this time around, but I'm dead serious. Like, just hearing like the appeal of getting to watch Atlantis Jr. try to like get over in America, and Templario and whoever else to get out, Mascara Dorada, so on and so forth. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I wish those guys the best because I love those guys and I think they're super talented and I think they should be more known by fans. And it makes AEW TV more interesting. What do you think, Joe?
I agree completely. It allows an avenue that I think they should lean towards more in that kind of fun showcase wrestling that we see in World Championship Wrestling often. A couple of years ago we did anyway in '96, but no, seriously, I think it's I think there was a moment on that Wrestle Dream pay-per-view where they had Mortos work with Hologram, and it was like, isn't it nice to have a wrestling match? I'm all for doing like a CMLL showcase on a TV or pay where you do like a real, like they did with Rocky and Mystico, right, on Rampage.
Yeah,
like I think there's room. There's so much conversation in AEW about story. There's not enough story. And I've always believed the opposite is the issue. They tell a bunch of stories half-heartedly. They'd be better off sometimes just doing you can just do wrestling matches. Dude,
it would make the severe stories stand out better.
Yeah,
put Mascara in there with anyone and just say, do all of your stuff, So that's Mascara and see what people do when he goes out there and does it. Because I've said this to Evie recently. He's the one of the only guys left who still does stuff that I can't physically believe is possible. You know,
Right.
because nowadays you see everything, right?
Yeah.
I'll see a Muscularata gif once a week. That's like, huh?
Tell me what you think about this, Joe and Monty. So we're past the era where Tony the quote is like roll the ball out and I think we're past the era of like, even though people still pop for graphics, we're past the era of live crowds like just jizzing themselves at like AEW wrestler A, who's been a part of the furniture for a while, versus AEW wrestler B, just wrestling, and it's like, oh my god, look at this awesome exhibition match. And I think part of it is because like there's almost too much familiarity with their own guys, and so that's why now they're having to kind of entrench everybody into some type of storyline, right? Which has its positives and negatives. And I almost think the relative unknown aspect of some of these CMLL wrestlers, you can almost recreate and recapture like Tony, even though there's gonna be bad faith people about it. I think you could be able to recapture that kind of like magic of what's this, that almost discovery and
Yes.
aspect of like he just this week he just throws up like Atlantis Junior versus Templario, and it's a 12-minute match on a Dynamite, and the fans just decide by the work who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who they like, and they just pop at moves that they've never seen before because they don't see these guys every week. Because again, it's like they're so over familiar with the regular roster members. Plus, a lot of them are like truthfully creatively damaged and not, and less over as a result of it. And so here it's fresh new bodies to care about and discover and get into, and you just kind of pop for the excitement of seeing them do their thing. What do you think about that?
I love it. The announcers have got to do a better job of highlighting the talent as being individuals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't, and I'm not singling out Excalibur here because to be quite frank, he tries more in that department than, that team is not great at that kind of deal. But getting over a new talent and a fresh face is more than like telling us his credentials, which is important. I get why Excalibur does that.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing they really need to do a better job of when they bring in CMLL talent, New Japan talent even, is like highlighting the individual distinct parts that make these guys stand out, rather than like,
hell yeah.
I hate when guys are lumped together. And that's the one thing about the graphic, while I pop that they're coming in, like the graphic just being like the CMLL stars are coming in. It's like, that's cool. You got to do a better job of explaining to the audience why. I mean, they're not all the same wrestler, dude. There's so much variety among those wrestlers, and that's your job as promotion to get over.
It's very WWF 97 when WWF 97 they briefly try to throw AAA guys in, and they're always just branded in as like luchadors from AAA, and it's just like, and the crowds are dead silent because like, what's the difference between this guy and that guy? And then you got commentary who doesn't know either, and they're not communicating.
That's where Hechicero got like almost like lucky in that sense, like when he was having like his AEW run, because like he got to wrestle Danielson, so he got to really showcase like what is Hechicero, and then like there was a Zack Sabre Jr. match in around that time as well. So it's like people like who were new to him were like seeing him in these perfect matchups for him, and immediately took to him, So people immediately caught on to like Hechicero is, a great technical wrestler that does all the fire shit. He looks cool and he's just like, he's just good. No, but that's how like the new fan sees him,
It's important.
And the good thing is it won't even be a difficult task, Joe, because the top CML wrestlers are very distinct. So you can easily say, like Templario, he's bigger than the average luchador. He's really strong. He has a lot of power offense, but he has the athleticism, so he can match these guys like for this and that. And then you could say Mystico, all encompassing. He's the ace. He's the man because he could do technical wrestling. He's a high flyer. He's strong. He's powerful. Atlantis, he's very old school. He's like his father, the great Atlantis Senior, and that's why he has those classical techniques, the technical wrestling, the monkey flip, And then Mascara Dorada though. He's faster than any guy in CMLL. He's quicker. He's more agile. He can jump higher and farther. When and you can bring in you can create through that sports style mid-match, sports style commentary and strategy.
All of this obviously fits the conversation we're having, and I'm the one who went in this direction. But this also opens up a wider conversation about the purpose of commentary and the importance of establishing all the things you said across the board. Style. Right. Why is Daniel Garcia such a great pro wrestler? Explain that to me on commentary, because I may know, but explain it so that when my dad watches Dynamite, he understands why Garcia can hang in there and beat, Takeshita, whoever, right? The example I always use, and I apologize if folks have heard me say this before, if you go back and listen to the way the Gorilla Monsoon, who had many faults as an announcer, but watch the way he would call Brett matches.
Mm-hmm.
What he would do is he'd realize Brett didn't pop in terms of personality, right? But he would highlight he's the guy who had those nicknames about, the excellence of execution and talk about his technique and his skill, which may train the audience to respect Brett as a technician.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all that came from, dude. It wasn't 8-year-old kids looking at it and going, "Oh man, he really does have a good Russian leg sweep." No, they told the kid that, So that's
they
so
told
important.
The kid that you could always trust Brett to find a way to win a match, even if it visually looks like he's maybe Yokozuna is so much bigger than him. But you've been communicated that Brett can find a way out of any situation, any predicament, like it's solving a Rubik's cube almost, and that's the type of wrestler he is. And you're watching it like the same way as a kid, and like this is such a weird analogy, but I'm like, I watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm like, oh, Yugi can win any fucking duel because he just has great strategy. He's just so great. He's just so strategic and smart. Bret Hart is just so strategic. Like, this guy's big, but like he'll fucking like let him run himself into the corner and then he'll work his leg or something, and that'll lead to the sharpshooter. Oh, that's how he wins. So yeah.
You train the audience, and then you establish a pattern, and then when you break from that pattern, the audience reacts accordingly. So there's again, this is a whole other conversation for another, but there's so much stuff in wrestling that's done a certain way because that's what we do. And it's like, why are you doing it? What are you trying to achieve? And that's not a criticism of any individual promotion or individual talent. It's like widespread. It's like these angles. We're going to shoot an angle to set up this match for Rampage. Okay, what's the angle? So basically, one person's going to interrupt the other, and they're going to talk about Rampage. Guess what, brother? That is not an angle that's not going to add a single thing to that match.
You know what's crazy about that, Joe? Tony made fun of that approach a couple of years ago. He used to poke fun privately and a little bit publicly in comments, and sometimes he poke fun of that like thing that WWE got in the habit of doing, where it's like they're so what's the story brain, so it's like we have to justify the existence of like Raw match number 4 on this 3-hour show. So this girl spilled her coffee on this other girl, and she was just kind of like, "Oh, you bitch!" And it's like now they're wrestling, because they'll go like, "Earlier tonight, folks, this happened," and it's just like the most like menial, random thing that to create a conflict. And it's like Tony literally made fun of that, saying like, "That's so silly. I don't have to do that for every fucking match. It is a sports league, AEW is, and these are wrestlers that get paid to wrestle, and they try to go up the rankings to win championships. So you are booked to wrestle to then achieve that goal. That is the purpose of these matches. It doesn't have to be." Fucking someone's talking to Arcady Aura, and then like a guy walks in 2 seconds in, and it's like, actually, this is my time now. ... Hey man, don't interrupt me. Well, I just did. Dum dum the graphic.
I think, unfortunately, it's an overreaction to like critics that are never going to be happy with the show anyway, and so it's like,
yes, it is.
Like the audience that wanted him to do that were never going to be satisfied once he did it anyway, and that's why you have to. It's a very difficult thing to do, but you have to like differentiate from people that want the show to be better and will have criticisms, and people that are just like doing their bits. Like again, the no story thing is like peak. Yeah, it doesn't speak to the show at all. It's just like a thing. So you can't be selling for that, dude. Yeah,
it's not accurate, nor is it like an actual reason for any of the issues that plague the promotion. And the unfortunate thing is, it's easy to also say put your head down and ignore those people, but they find themselves in this tough spot where when they look at like business trends or things like that, they do have to ask questions of like, okay, how do we reverse it? How do we do this? And then, but the unfortunate thing is, then you start reading what the criticism is to see what maybe they could improve upon, and then it all just blends in together and gets diluted into this big just swamp.
It's a hard race to run, dude, especially with that much TV.
Yes, a lot of TV. You're like, how do we keep the houses up? What's going on? What are the people saying? Oh, well, the people are saying there's no stories, Tony. And he's like, fuck, all right. Should we fucking shoot a titty angle this week or something? And I don't know. Or fuck, should we do this and that? And then it's like, is that what they want? And it's like, no, that's not what they wanted, Tony. It's like, then what the fuck do they want? They want wrestling, Tony. Okay, you do a match. And it's like, this is the number, Tony. It wasn't a problem. It was just wrestling, Tony. It's just regular matches, just work rate, Tony. Give us something else. And he's like, all right, cool. What so it is a mind fuck. It is a mind fuck.
It's very hard.
It's to run a promotion, fill a bunch of hours of TV, and figure out what the fucking people want. Thankfully, and Dave says this a lot, and I totally agree. I would first and foremost, because we're now at this point, just try to get people over to the live audiences first, and that will dictate how this is going. Because it's hard to go through online and figure out what's right and what's wrong. But the fans tell you who they like. And so now we have these TVs where there's colder reactions to certain people, and you have a gauge. Once you start noticing like certain acts are getting over and getting reactions, that's your compass, because then it's like, okay, they like this guy, they like that guy. All right, let's roll with them, and then you go from there.
I'm with you completely, bro. Absolutely.
Like Yakuza 94, $5. Yo, Ibu, what's good with Swerve's shoulder? Is he working us or is he shoe injured?
I asked, and what was communicated to me was essentially that they'll find out more this week about the severity of his injury. But it does appear that he's been hurt. It appears that it happened in the last beatdown he had with Bobby Lashley, and it affected his shoulder. And they're going to find out this week what's the severity of it, and go from there. So there's still more questions than answers. But what I can tell you is that it looks like it was Bobby, and it looks like it was from their last angle, and they're going to figure out how bad it is.
David Camp 499. Shout out to Mina versus Harley Cameron from Collision. Two great entertainers that fully understand the assignment.
They go for it. They go for it. I'll say this.
Yeah.
Harley Cameron was one of those wrestlers that I expected to be like awful, and she's not awful. She kind of just like knows what she is, accepts it, embraces it, and she's like a fine wrestler.
Yeah. Ricky Worley 199. How you lose to PGD and the Bulls? Nick's bad.
I don't want to talk about that game. We won 2 games, so let's focus on the positive here.
Anthony 499. Making some fettuccine chicken Alfredo and watching the fellas Bronson and Jacob together is magical. Cavs run the East. Hashtag 16 and all.
Fuck the Cavs, they're not real. We will not remember this opening stretch of the season come playoff time when they're out in the first round. Regarding Bronson and Jacob, that moonsault tsunami combo was destructive, and yeah, I think it's big time.
Ryan 699 Canadian. Seems like they'll introduce Inamura in a tag with Briggs. A fraction match would be fun, then get him in a singles program.
So
did you see that either?
Yes, I did. So they did a house show a couple nights ago where they did Jada Parker and Stephanie Vacquer, which was a good test run because they then booked that for TV this week. So I like that. That's old school wrestling. You're not practice, but you do it on the house show so they get a feel for each other, and then you bring it to TV. That's pro wrestling. They also ran Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs versus Fraxium. Inamura worked a bit with Briggs and Noah when they were in Japan, and Briggs is kind of his buddy in that regard, as because the familiarity there. He will be in NXT for the foreseeable few months, and Noah's fine with that. The kind of crazy headline, hell yeah. Hell yeah. The crazy headline that happened today was I should have had the name prepared and like what his position was, but it was someone speaking on behalf of Noah that basically said Inamura is in NXT on assignment and that he will be there and he will get some experience. He basically said that he is still contracted to Noah and with us, but should he want to depart to NXT, we will heed his wishes and allow him to. And I was like, what kind of cucky shit is this? What the fuck, dude? Like, it basically like, if he wants to stay there, he could stay there. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? Why are you saying that publicly? You know? But I don't know. I guess whatever. But bottom line, I think Inamura is really good. I think he's like one of the 3 best men's wrestlers in NXT automatically. And despite there being one bad wrestler in that match of Fraxium should be very good.
Sebastian $2. Ibu Red One review.
What do you think, Joe?
I was considering seeing the Red One, but so I don't know. I've got to work up some courage first. I'm not sure. I've yet to cross that bridge.
I had no clue what this movie was, and I was at the theater to watch Wolverine and Deadpool with my brother. And this thing comes up, and I was telling him, I'm like, this looks fucking awful.
It looks like a fake film, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes. It looks like an SNL skit where Dwayne is the host that week, and it's like Red One when John Hancock is stranded in the ice caps, and he meets Rusty the polar bear, and it's like, hey, and it's like, and then he meets Chris Evans from the MCU, and it feels like a parody skit where the joke is like, this is LOL, this is every blockbuster, and it's like, no, that's a real movie, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Rory's Clink, £2. The Three Musketeers of podcasting reunite at last. Yeah, it's been a minute, man.
We're doing our
minute, brother. Dave Camp 199. Will the Rizzler Blade on Saturday? Short on Spurs.
We're doing almost too well. The in-ring pace here, Joe, is a little too fast. It's a little too high.
I need to slow it down. That's why I stopped talking. Yeah, I
was
started getting into it.
I was gonna say, like right. I was gonna say, like work-wise, like we're like zipping around the ring and doing springboards, and I'm like, hold on, let's
I did a
settle in with the
superplex and I tagged out for a few minutes.
It was like we gotta let's get this down under 3. Let's relax here, you know. Let's.
Shot Spurs $2. Bronson Goldberg doesn't move me.
His angles are very actually no. You're entitled to your opinion. Who cares? I was about to like reply to this. Let's just go to the next one.
And that's Assault $2. Jacob and Reed actually will go wild as a team.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, that angle. Listen, the visual of Roman Reigns fighting for his life as these two big men were like just hounding him was really sick. It was actually the cool. Roman is good at the physical shit now. It's like I don't give a fuck about standing and watching him make faces at people speaking at him. But when he was like fighting for his life out there, and he's like Superman punch to Jacob, Superman punch to Solo, and then like Bronson hits him with a super kick, and he's just fighting off like 3 monsters, and they're all just kind of like hitting him from every like angle and shit. And he's like a badass like fighting through it and slightly winning, but like not really. And then he gets caught with all the big moves. That was awesome. Like that physical stuff was awesome. And lowest of keys, it was a good sign for the match. The problem is the match gonna be that? Is it gonna be Roman like a wild animal fighting off these fucking hyenas, or is it gonna be staring and emoting and crying, you know, and talking and lamenting and thinking and pondering and posturing and staring and gesturing?
He's good at it. You know?
No, he's not. This is a myth. This is a myth. Like we this is just a commonly accepted thing. Like it's like
listen, the people react.
Yes, he's very over.
He ain't no sinner. He ain't no. We're not talking about no blockbuster films, you know. But the people react to those emotes, you know.
They do.
So,
they do. It's this fucking brother. Modern TikTok WWE audience that like. I had a vent the other day, Joe.
Again.
I was just saying, whoa, surprise.
My boy Pav, Wrestling Gifts. He's a good account. He he's seen this business before it became, woke. And he basically tweeted, I miss CM Punk and like the real wrestling he does. And I just replied to him like, fuck cinema. And he just like liked it. And I was like, fucking
you're 12 years old or something?
Yeah. I was like, fucking cutscene.
He sinks to their level, Joe. That's what he does.
I'll be talking to him and he'll be like, and then this fucking Bloodline account said. And I'll be like, oh, bro, I mean.
You know what it is, Joe? It's less about them directly. It's just about like, I want the younger generation of wrestling fans that will be here when I'm like in some really boring job tending to my 5 kids.
When you're Dave.
Yeah. I want them to have good taste, like genuinely. I want them to like know how this is supposed to be, like truthfully. And it's cool for WWE that they're making all these new fans because they hadn't in so fucking long. It's cool that they're doing that, right? And it's cool that like a lot of them are, they get into the TikTok and mommy and Liv and Daddy Dom and Roman and the faces and all that stuff. Like it's cool that they like that, and it's cool that they're so into these stories and the Easter eggs and the cutscenes and the matches. That's neat. That means WWE as a promotion is doing their job, right? So good for you, Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting and fucking everybody else in the team. But at the same time, it leads to these fucking 19-year-olds speaking as if they have an authority on pro wrestling. And they're telling me these things that are just objective inaccuracies. And it's so upsetting. It's so annoying. Things like you don't need blood in pro wrestling. And things like War Games is going to cook because of this and that. And you hate fun if you don't like kendo sticks in War Games matches. And you hate fun if you don't think this is good and blah, 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 blah. We bring back Raw versus SmackDown fucking tag matches where they have the fucking red t-shirt and the blue t-shirt. It's like, no, that's just like, what are you talking about? Have you ever seen a Survivor Series before 2016? And the answer for most of them is no. Joe, one of these fucking people said to me, they told me you can't they said you can't do 2 5-on-5 tags on the show because they're both going to go 40 minutes and then you can't make the card longer than 4 matches. What are you fucking talking about? What are these people talking about? What do you mean you can't? A 5-on-5 has to be 40 minutes. When was that the norm? Just because that's what they do now doesn't mean that has to be the norm. There have been 5-on-5 tags that's gone 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, 23. Some of the best 5-on-5s ever. Like, what? It doesn't have to be Brand versus Brandon. It doesn't have to go 40 fucking minutes. Just because you watch these Peacock shows with fucking an hour of filler to an hour and a half of filler doesn't mean that's how it has to be timed. God damn. Fuck all of you. Like, literally, fuck you. Please. What? Learn about the history of pro wrestling.
Your response, Joe Hulbert.
Challenge yourself.
I think you should probably just mute some of them, to be honest. I think it would probably be the best way of approaching it. I mean,
It's bro, that's what I'm saying. He gets triggered, man.
Yeah.
He gets triggered, bro.
Because it's
No,
not.
I mean,
I don't even know how we. I don't even know how he ended up getting. Look at the super chat on screen right now,
I know, right? It was just,
and look at how where Ibu's ended up. Like,
it's not about shielding myself from these takes because it's not about me and them. It's not.
I think it is about you and them, actually.
It's not me and them. If I could get them all in a room and just put on a screen and just turn on Stinger Squadron versus Dangerous Alliance, where I could have my fucking stick, my teaching stick, and just, this is a heat segment. That's a blade job. That's Nikita Koloff. Like, it just, I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I don't know, man. That's in that deep,
Yeah, it's like I actually get what you're saying, but I just kind of shrug my shoulders at you.
I just saw a tweet this morning that said Nakamura and LA Knight is gonna cook. What are you talking about?
See, but that feels like a different person to the one you were just describing. I feel like there's many different.
He's talking about a generation.
That's what the problem with these people are. It's because, like, the school system is worse now. They have the memories of Goldfish. So, like, they'll want something, and then, like, the next week they're showing a new carrot, and they're like, no, I want that, actually. And it's like, are you forgetting that carrot's rotten? And they don't remember. They just don't remember. I'm like, 3 months ago, folks, are you forgetting? Like, Cody and Nakamura were really bad. Like, they had 3 really fucking awful matches, and they're like, nah, Nakamura's going to cook as champion. Like, what's that? Is it the vaping? Is it what they put in those Easter eggs? Is it the vapes?
Yo, we gotta keep. I've said this every super chat, but we gotta move, man. We got what? We got 30 minutes left.
Like, what's the rush? Liv Morgan versus fucking, like, Bianca Belair. Like, come on, like.
Listen, when you put your new gig, when do you start your new gig? You be like next week or so.
Whenever December 5th is. I don't know when that is.
Oh, December. For some reason, I thought it was like November 25th for some reason. All right, so December 5th. Yeah, you need to get used to it, brother.
This was a later start than normal too, though.
Anyway, Razor 199. Imagine giving Tangaloa the blade at War Games.
He would kill himself accidentally.
Yeah, it would be so dangerous.
He would. Yeah, there would be a pool in the middle of the ring. Raw is Clint £5. What's left to do with Becky Lynch? I'd like to see her head a faction of fresh NXT call-ups. We were talking about this, weren't we, Joe? Well, not necessarily what she can do, but it's like the way that, like, kind of like the perception around some of like the big names that are missing at the moment, being kind of like, oh well, we've got X, Y, and Z at the moment, and the division's kind of moved on from them. And what would that? And I know you're not asking it in this sort of time, but like people are, oh, what would Becky even do? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and it's just like, bro, are we watching the same shows? Like, there is absolutely like
it's insane.
Loads of things that like Becky, Charlotte. Fucking me and Joe pop ourselves, but Alexa Bliss, Carmella, like all these people can be valuable assets to TV. And obviously Becky and Charlotte are on another level, Even that idea that you say in the chat, bro, like a fresh NXT, like some young talent, like Laura Valkyrian, I don't know, some others. Like Becky could probably make that work,
My pitch would probably be, especially because obviously there's a connection there. I think making a project of going back to the thing with her and Lyra, where like they're a team for a bit, and then maybe you'd flip one of the, what I'm saying? Like you do something with that. That's like you dedicate 4 or 5 months to it. Because I think Becky's proven like one of her best skills is elevating. Like when she was the NXT champion, she was having those weekly matches. She had that little mini program with Xia Li. Like,
yeah.
If you give her something to actually sink her teeth into, I think her record speaks for itself, her resume speaks for itself. So you need definitely something in particular, but that's hard to answer because that should be completely shaped by what she wants to do at this point, right? You need to figure out like who do you want to work with, what do you want to achieve, and then basically you let her do her thing. Because I think, let's be real. I mean, her history in the company and her stature in the company, like she should be at that level where she could just basically do what she wants, right?
And call her own shot. Yeah, for sure.
Basically, she was doing a lot of that anyway, wasn't she? You know.
Yeah. So and to be clear, I think Lyra's a good grappler. I don't know if she's ever going to be like a smash hit star. To be completely honest, I hope I'm wrong, but that's the first name that comes to mind because like there's a connection there. You know, I mean,
my brother,
could be anyone.
My brother made a pretty astute observation. I remember I was watching Raw with him once, and Lyra comes out, and he said, "This is not the version of Lyra that she will be making money with someday." And that was like an interesting call. He basically was saying like, this is her version of when Becky would come out to the steampunk aesthetic with all the gears and all that type of thing. And so I do think raw talent wise, like maybe someday like she's gonna like really pop. And I think it's like it's something you shouldn't like. I wouldn't write off. You know what I mean? 'Cause she's like 27 or whatever she is. But I do agree with you that I think that's the direction you should go with first, just to kind of like try to like achieve something there since some time was already devoted to it.
Yeah, I like Laura a lot. She's good. She's just a bit vanilla, you know.
Yeah.
But she is good. Manny, $4.99. I don't like no whips and chains. You can't tie me down.
But you can whip your loving on me. Are you familiar with the famous edit guys of Blake Christian?
So I am, yes. Yeah.
Did you see he admitted that he made the video?
I did not. That makes me like it more. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I was gonna say, I quoted it, Joe. I said, "All right, this rules. It is what it is. Yeah. Like it is what it is. Like it rules." God bless.
Wesley, $2. What are plans for DIY going forwards?
People think they're doing Ciampa Gargano again. I think the actual story is Johnny's gonna stop being a mark and finally like just beat the shit out of the Motor City Machine Guns. Because the whole story they're telling is Ciampa's like, dude, wake the fuck up. They took our spot. Like, stop being a fanboy, you know. And I think he's gonna wake up and do that.
Zoe, 199. Talk about Big Boom AJ and QT's diss track. Listen, Big Boom AJ, he's been doing his thing trying to promote this big fight on Ground Zero with QT Marshall. Yeah, Sean did a report about the Costco guys earlier, man, talking about like how they've done like a full-on media tour. They've done like a full-on media tour, bro, talking, obviously hyping up this match on Full Gear 0 Hour. And apparently it was never meant to take up any TV time on AEW, but because they've done such a good job on the media tour, AEW this week have been like, you know what, fuck it. And now they've got a live segment on Dynamite. So, you know, God bless.
Do we think it's going to be in the ring, or do we think it's just like a backstage, like one?
No, it's live, bro.
Yeah, but that could easily just be backstage.
No, but like but don't do like I complain about this a lot when they do the whole like graphic for a backstage segment. Mm-hmm. Those never usually say like live on them. They'll just say like, we'll hear from Hangman Adam Page.
I never even know. I'm gonna look out for that now. I never noticed that.
Yeah, it'll be like, we'll hear from, or it'll just be like something. But if it says like, you know, live, like I'll usually go with the assumption that it'll be like in-ring live segment. Like he'll be there live for the live audience that's there, you know.
This could be something.
I mean,
this could be.
It will get him, dude. It's gonna get him a sweet like clip on Twitter, right? Like that's what it's gonna be, and it's on the pre-show. If you want to dedicate some TV, I honestly don't have any beef for this. Like,
it's harmless. Yeah, it's harmless.
All right. Brainbuster 199. I hate The Rock. #bullshit. #not more champion.
Well, you're gonna have to get to Brainbuster because I think he's gonna be the hottest heel in the WWF. You know, going into 1999.
Yeah, my Via has come a long way, dude. He's up next.
One of the best reinventions ever.
I mean, Joe, you remember when we were on here 2 years ago talking about his debut?
The promos.
We were saying we didn't think this gimmick was gonna pop. We liked the raw skill set on hand that was being showcased. We knew that was not going to be the gimmick that was going to get him over.
For sure, yeah. I think you were more down on him than I was, but that's usually the case.
Yeah.
Well, it's more Survivor Series talk, I think. Caden Lee at the dance 199. Appreciate Russo's magnum opus.
I guess. Is the truth. It is the truth, yes.
Dylan G 199. The Paul versus Mello and Iron Mike WrestleMania 41 Vegas.
Fuck. Get the come on.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Novi, $2. Appreciate you, brother. I feel so bad for Mankind. He's got to get the Rock.
I think you could get some really good TV in January out of Mankind and Dwayne just going crazy. You know?
I hope the WCW guys are prepared for that and have a good, something to battle that worthy.
Yeah,
it's what I'm saying, bro. The tide's changing, and I think the WCW could be in a mess this time next year.
The thing is, like, you could counter that program and that with like a big TV matchup. And honestly, dude, Kevin Nash is hot right now.
Yeah,
agreed. I just think
you could do
it's not competing, though, bro.
You do
him and Hogan, dude.
Him and Hogan. Honest, Joe, I think they're running Georgia in on January.
Yeah.
Dude, Hogan, Nash, world title, Georgia Dome main event. There's nothing WWF could put on that week, and that's a taped show on that week. I saw the schedule. Yeah. Not Mike Johnson. Keller put it up on his torch this week. That's going to be a show where they could turn this around. You do big business, you get the attention. No one's going to watch whatever they're doing on the other channel. I think you.
No, dude. Yeah. Foley's cool and all. Like, he's a nice hand, but Hogan and Nash, that's as big as it gets. Right? That's a dream match.
I think you could do some box office shit with that one. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro.
Go Birds, $4.99. What 2 matches do you hope get added to Survivor Series, and what two do you think will get added?
I think that the tag title scene on SmackDown is like quietly one of the better things happening in the company, but it's like still kind of quiet, where it's just basically the Machine Guns are like bland characters. But what's interesting is that their existence and quick rise is affecting the characters around them, and that being the Profits and DIY. I think whatever tag title match comes out of that should make it Survivor Series, and I think it will. So I like that one. The other one that I would add is obviously Cody and Kevin Owens. So hopefully that gets added. Dave is real adamant that that's Saturday night's main event. I wouldn't mind if they do 2 of them. Who am I to fucking complain about less Kevin Owens? You know what I mean? Or more Kevin Owens. So those are my 2 asks. What do I think gets added? I think it is a SmackDown thing. And God forbid, like the Wyatt Six and Final Testament, like you're something. Come on, Joe. Good God.
Mari, $2. How do you feel about the WCW in November '98?
A little overrated. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's like, I look at the Bulls, right? And I think standards are so high. You get so used to winning championships. You lose a couple games and it's like a national scandal. You know what I'm saying? I think it's so easy to doubt Bischoff, but if you look at what he's done in his time in charge, like we've gone from being pretenders to being the wrestling promotion, and it's still that way, by the way. Check the numbers. So I think it turns around sooner than that. Especially we do that Nash and Hogan thing you're talking about. Like that seems like that's all we need. I think
Goldberg Bam Bam would be fucking money.
I mean, Goldberg anyone's money, dude. Goldberg anyone's money. Goldberg shouldn't lose for another decade. It would be real.
Hell yeah. And he probably won't.
No, he shouldn't.
We'll see. I think they'll fuck it up. Yeah. Bet Yakuza, $5. Fans are going to probably turn on Austin for Mankind. Austin just wants the title, but Mankind was used and casted aside by Bookman. He needs to win.
So that's the thing. It's like it is a fine line with the fans. You got 2 baby faces, totally different. One guy is clearly the top guy of this promotion. The other one's sentimental, and it's a tough thing to walk. But I think what they should do is you just have Mick fight like hell. Maybe even give him a win along the way on Rock, and you get it back to Rock or something. You figure out a way to do that. But I think Mick, like I said, he's great TV. You can get 2 months out of him. December 98, January 99, maybe some February. And basically, once Mick is disposed of, unfortunately, then you get to Rock, you get to Austin.
Yeah, we'll see. See how it plays out. Razor $4.99. Logic flaws in the Bloodline story. Seth being 5 undoes what he did at WrestleMania. Punk, he called Solo a cosplay tribal chief back in June. He's a Paul E guy. Percentage Punk as number 5. Did this
As we-
earlier?
as-
Well, I said 50. No, I didn't say 50%. No, I said 20.
20, that's right. Yeah, I'll go
Mike
30.
Johnson's adamant. Mike Johnson's adamant. I think it's possible because of the Heyman mystery element of this. And I'll say this: I'll have a better feel of it based on the pre-tapes on this week's Raw, because there's going to be a bunch of, because in all seriousness, there's going to be a bunch.
Bro said, "I'll have a better idea once I watch the TV."
I'll have a better answer for you after like the next 2 hours of development on this storyline, where they definitively and declaratively say.
I know what you meant though, because they've taped it. So you mean the stuff that obviously wasn't shown to the audience. I get what you mean.
Right, because fans are going off on the spoilers, Joe. Like, oh, they did this thing in the ring when all it really was is what it was, and it's like, with this type of story, the meat is like the backstage where it's like, I don't know, Oos, you sure, Oos? Let me know, Oos. I'll call him, Oos. You tell me what he says, Oos. I got back to him, Oos. He said no, Oos. Okay, Oos. Ask Heyman, Oos. Okay, like it'll come from that. So after we get the Oos segments, we'll have a better feel for this.
Go Birds, 4.99. Appreciate you. Who should get into a best of 7 feud when Raw moves to Netflix?
I have a better counter question that'll ask Joe. What's the most Joe Holbert pilled Netflix Raw best of 7, and what's the least Joe Holbert pilled Netflix Raw best of 7? And they have to be realistic. Or
Dragunov's injured, right? So,
the least has got to be DIY in someone.
Least is like Gargano versus Pete Dunne. Most would be Andy. Andrade versus Chad Gable would be just scrumptious, wouldn't it? That would be delightful.
Respectfully to Carmelo Hayes, who I do like, and I think he's done a good job. Look at what Andy's did with Melo, right? Now imagine giving Andrade 3 segments on Raw with Chad.
Have they ever touched?
Like 2019 briefly.
Maybe some like NXT spot shows, but yeah, very little. Like that would be incredible, dude.
That would be obscene.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
18 minutes on Netflix, limited commercial.
Yeah.
Razor 199. Thoughts on Rock being face after the Triple H feud in 1998? It
was the right move. Fans were loving him.
And it set up the big turn from last night. So
absolutely.
Mari 316, $2. How would y'all book WrestleMania 15 if y'all had the pen?
We're all in agreement that Rock
$2. Come on, bro.
Yeah, look, Rock has to face Austin. That's easy. I try to get Triple H back in the mix with something. They're gonna have to address what's the state of DX with him gone right now. Like, are they gonna keep that thing going or what? So maybe try to elevate X-Pac or something. Maybe him in that. Do that. Maybe
Taker work.
Too small, bro.
Taker needs some time off.
He should put Boss Man over, clean in the middle. Do what's right for business. Pass the torch.
I'll go Boss Man.
If you're gonna,
I was screaming his name from the rooftops at the start of this podcast, but when it comes to that top of the card territory, I don't know, brother.
Well, here's the thing. Taker's great with this. I'll tell you this, Joe. I'd like it if it was a Hell in a Cell match. I think those guys would have a classic Foley, Shawn Michaels level Hell in a Cell match. It would be right up there with those two guys and those two past Hell in a Cells. That's right up there.
I think it'd be better. Yeah,
maybe.
Cable, man. Cable 50 pesos. This Tuesday live at 8 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Parker versus Vakir, Zaria versus Sinclair, Frazier versus Thorpe. Make sure to tune in only on the #CW where the women wrestle.
Where the women wrestle.
Come on, man.
I'll say this. I will not give a source, but someone who has input in NXT made a joke saying they're saying what if we just branded it like NXT #believe in the women, or we believe in the women, or something along those lines, some women's slogan that was obviously needling at the other side. And I was just kind of that would result in clearly non-toxic toxic conversations.
Of course, naturally. Amari $2. What's your match of the year and pay-per-view of the year in 1998?
I haven't gotten a hand on the Masao Kawada tape yet, so I'm going to say so far Shinjiro Otani versus Ultimo Dragon at the Final Power Hall at the Tokyo Dome in January 4th. That match is unbelievable for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. The best show I'd say was ECW Heatwave. That show was fantastic. You got Taz and Bam Bam on that show. You got Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinjaki versus RVD and the Sabu. Great work from Jerry Lynn and Justin Credible. You know, you got Chris Candido and Lance Storm. I thought it was a hell of a show. Mike Awesome and Tanaka. That was a great show.
The two guys who are going to carry wrestling into the next 10, 20, 30 years. Rocky Maivia, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Ladder match. The Garden. The SummerSlam.
That's a great show.
Yeah. That's the obvious answer for actual wrestling fans, you know.
I'll tell you what. You know, it's a bit of a quiet shout here. Sold Out. WCW Sold Out was a hell of a show. You got some good lucha action. You got a great Raven and Benoit match on that show. And I mean, listen, man, Ric Flair and Bret Hart, they showed you at the top of the year. They still got something in that tank.
That's low-key their best match.
Maybe.
What was your actual pick again, Bill?
Heatwave 98.
Oh.
I'm voting for it this year in the Observer Awards.
Outlaw Mud Show.
Mania 14 is quietly really strong.
Yeah.
I'm going Heatwave though. I'm going Heatwave.
What did you go for the match?
Oh, it's Shinjiro Otani and Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah. Okay.
Otani and Ultimo Dragon.
Okay. You know, it don't matter. Let's move on. Amari, Book of the Year 98.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going Ricky Choshu easily.
You know what? I'm going to agree, so I don't have to say Vince Russo.
I'm going to think that exactly.
House of Spoken 199. Is the Ultimo Dragon retirement or work?
I don't know.
Oh, no idea, brother. No idea. Adam Legend $2. Ibu, any thoughts on this kid Tanahashi in New Japan?
Yeah, well, he's still just a young boy by the ringside. I don't fucking know. They talk about all these kids, man. Like there's him and there's some other guys kind of coming up through the system. Some like teenagers that they're like kind of scouting and stuff. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's way too early to tell with this Tanahashi kid. I saw a little bit of him at some of these early opening tags. He's skinny. He tries to do a bit of a steamboat routine. It's kind of cosplay, if you ask me. But he's fine. It's going to take a couple years before they start to really roll him out. What I'm worried about is they need to keep Hashimoto happy. They really need to keep him happy. There's a lot of tension right now with him and Inoki backstage. And I think this hot streak that New Japan has been in for a whole decade now, folks. They've been the promotion of the decade of the 90s. You risk something if you make this guy pissed off and chase him out of there. I love Muto, but Muto's knees are breaking down, you know? So it's like if Muto's knees are breaking down and Chono's getting up there and Hashimoto's pissed off, who do you got? Like at the top, you know? Jim Ross. Maybe. It's just I just worry about, and here's the thing, I believe in Kojima and Nagata. You know, Nagata's coming back from WCW and he's doing his thing. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Ryan 699, appreciate you. Rollins getting replaced by Punk adds to Rollins' hate to Roman and Punk, especially last minute if he ends up going heel. Yeah, man, it does. That's some yeah, we've already talked it out. And but yeah, agreed. And Champion $2. Big Mana must be coming back soon to save the business. You know, I'm always looking forward to the final boss, brother. But yeah, man.
Joe, how would you react if Punk brothered his way into a Dwayne Punk stare down at the end of the show just to do it and figure out the rest later?
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I mean, Dwayne does an awful lot of stuff, doing stuff just to do it and then figuring it out later is kind of
that's his thing. That's his motto. Yeah.
Yes. So I could see him. Rock would be so back. He'd be like, "We're gonna make a big moment," and he'll make a long tweet about it or like a long fucking Instagram post about it with the screenshot. You know,
got the end of Black Adam. Like it's just like it's a pointless interaction. Like,
meanwhile, Phil in his head, he's just calculating like, all right, how can I get a big pay-per-view match out of this fucking guy? He's like, maybe not Mania. What do we do SummerSlam? You know, he's brothers.
They should do a tag.
Oh,
on NBC.
On Netflix. No,
there you go. Yeah,
Joe, could you imagine
Saturday with that Dwayne star power? It's got to be Netflix, bro.
Joey just says Saturday Night's Main Event in parentheses 2024 number 4, and then like the main event is just man. What's the Cody Rhodes and CM Punk versus Solo Sikoa and The Rock?
Oh my god!
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Match goes 30 minutes and they take 2 bumps.
Match of the year right at the end.
What's more manly? 7 minutes or like 29?
So I want to do the bit and say 29, but I actually, in case anyone's watching, please do the 7-minute one because that thing where Dwayne had got like an All Japan tape and went 40 minutes was unholy, dude. That was. I still haven't got over that.
What you know? So funny thing,
Iconic though.
If it's Punk and Cody versus Jacob and Rock, we
can go 15.
Yeah, you can go 15. You can do 15 on that one. You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dane will go 4.5 on that.
Dave's going 4.5 on it anyway.
Yeah, true.
Mid takes $4.99. Bought my Rumble tickets, boys. Everyone's predictions. Can't say EO and Cena.
That's my prediction. Cena is definitely my prediction.
Hey guys, who do you think's going to win the NBA championship? You can't say the OKC Thunder or the Celtics. Or it's like, what the hell?
I don't know. I'm gonna take Charlotte in Women's Rumble. Actually,
you know what I've
decided to go? And I'll pop for it.
I've missed her enough that like I'm actually like super ready and willing to see like Charlotte just like Hoganing through like so many women.
Well, you're in luck.
Dude, someone posted like when she came back and like smoked Ronda, and I tweeted like,
no.
Someone tweeted like, how would you react if she did this to like Liv or Nia? And I was just kind of like, pop my fist, like what?
I love Charlotte Flair, man. I need her back. I'm on the brink of like. She's been gone so long. When she comes back, I might be shameless.
I wanted to John Moxley this shit, where she just like, because now we've reached the point where there's so many losers in this division. The way like there's so many losers in AEW, to where I just want to see like I'm gonna gain catharsis watching this person just like steamroll through them. I want to see Charlotte just like destroy everybody.
And champion $2. Dragon must be put in jail. # Dragon bad. # Mox was right.
This is in
assuming this is about the Danhausen report and Bryan Danielson was a big fan of him and pushed for creative for him and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, you know, you win some, you lose some. Not everyone has great ideas all the time, you know. Will Chisholm $5. If this mock this mock joining for the top matches in the women's division for Mania, like Io, Rhea, Bianca, and I don't get what this is asking me.
I think what he's asking is there a lot of like backstage jostling for like Mania spots from the women, the way like because we were talking about like the men and the politics. Yeah, and what I would say is not as much. I think some of the
wrestling industry is deeply sexist.
Yeah, but this was earlier, Ribble.
Maybe. Well, I've decided that's what this question is, and
yeah, fair enough. I'm willing to roll with it.
Right. Answer that like truthfully. Hilariously, the women's matches are more set in stone on Mania than anything else.
Charlotte, the other things also true though, right? Like,
well,
the wrestling business had a long way to go until it's like normalized that the women's wrestlers are actually also top stars, even though their merchandise can tell you that, their quarters can tell you that. It still takes a long time for the business to catch up. Because
to be transparent, I'll put it to you this way. They love Bianca. They think she's a sweetheart and she's like really nice and she smiles and lights up the room and all that shit, right? And when they talk to her about segments, she very much goes, I think I should just do this with Naomi and Jay. And they go, oh, go for sure. Go for it, honey. But with all that said, if she ever walked in a fucking room right now, right? With all the people there and was like, actually, I'm not doing that fucking match. I want to do this one tonight. There would be hesitation and there may even be okay, we'll consider it. The minute she walks out that room, it's getting nasty in there. They're gonna like,
so nasty, yeah.
Who the fuck does she think she is?
Long way to go, dude. A long way to go.
Razor $4.99. If CM Punk is in War Games, Seth can call him selfish. CM Punk can say that he and Paul E are close. Plus, call Seth out on his hypocrisy. Seth stabs Roman. Seth stab on Rome plus shield. What the fuck is that meant to mean, bro?
Like, I don't know. Fuck on Rome? I don't know.
What? You freak. Wilshire's on $2. What yo?
All right, because this people miss this completely, but Scott D'Amore basically said this months ago, and I don't know why no one picked up on it. Back in the day, this Calgary, the Stampede territory was the one place where the NWA champ would work, and so would the WWF champ. And the AWA champ, I believe. And he's literally said, I like the idea of having a sort of quirky middle ground. He is absolutely going to try and get a WWF wrestler on one of his shows. It doesn't mean they're going to be like fully in bed, but that's what he's been intending to do this whole time. Because Scott D'Amore is insane, and these are his routes of attack. You know, it's like when he had Jay White and Omega went face to face at Slammiversary for like no reason, just because he wanted to do it. So yeah,
I'm going to declare this like firmly. I think that there is a 90% chance that a WWE wrestler will be on a Maple Leaf show in 2025.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that one as well. Rise at $4.99. Joe, are we getting green graps on Flair, Danielson, and Punk? Young Owen Hart is fire athlete. Thoughts on Brett versus Owen, 89 WCW Stampede, AJPW 82 to 83, and 04 Ring of Honor.
Okay. We're probably never going to do the Flair episode because, like, we've covered so many of his matches and opponent, and I don't think the world needs more Ric Flair celebration. Like, I just, like, it's been covered. He's had 100 documentaries done. No. We'll definitely do Danielson.
It's still coming out as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no need for it.
Woo! The Ric Flair story. It's like we know the Ric Flair story.
And like this, we still have to pretend he's like this really like interesting layered person. It's like, no, he's a piece of shit. He's great wrestling. Move on.
Joe, it's gonna be 2027. And it's just like a complicated man who blurred fiction and reality.
Yeah.
Drank, he partied, he was with the women, and you just see the fight. It's like, bro, I know.
He's really not interesting. He's just a deeply insecure man who was great at wrestling. That's it. Like, and and let me be clear, he's much worse than that. I mean, the parts of him they cover. You know when they do like that famous Shawn Michaels that they always play where he's like, Ric Flair doesn't even know who Richard Flair is. It's like, fuck. He ain't that interesting, bro. He's just a piece of shit. Anyway, Danielson Punk will definitely get episodes. Yes, Young Owen Hart was sick. Owen and Brett, WrestleMania 10 is one of the best matches ever, I think. The SummerSlam rematch, I'm not nearly as fond of. I'm not a big fan of that cage match, personally.
Wow.
Stampede, I'm not well versed on, nor am I 82, 83 All Japan. 89 WCW is classic, especially post the Funk angle. As much as Flair Steamboat's great, the rest of it I don't really like. 04 Ring of Honor is great. I watch a lot less of it now just because for whatever reason my sensibilities have like trended away from that for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I want to quickly say, Joe, this might make you smile. So my brother, he's obviously like, WWE fan for life, in and out of interest, mainly just WWE, right? And he watched New Japan in like the late half of the 2010s. But I say all that to say, he got back into wrestling through this Triple H era. Currently, right now, he's upstairs in my living room, right? Out of pure curiosity, for the first time, he's watching Great American Bash 89. And I've been muting because he'll just come back to me and he's just kind of like, he's just going like, skyscrapers!
Like, unbelievable show. One of the best shows
ever.
Go watch that, folks. Great show.
Yes. He's one of those dudes, he knows the history and like all the people because he watches he just didn't watch the actual shows. Yeah.
And Jean Pien, $5. Dome cards are giving me hope for 2025, only for me to crash out on the game again by the year end. Has happened twice in a row. Third time's the charm. You know what I mean? I'll be praying for you.
Relying on? It's relying on Kenny Omega. Something awakening in his soul in Tokyo where he goes, look, Tony, I love you. I love AEW. I got to stay here, man. You got to let me hang out here. And you get some type of extended Kenny Omega action in New Japan.
Tony won't let him do it all.
What if
look if we're getting like the way like he's been allowed to kind of just do his comeback as freely as he's been able to.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. People think Kenny's like this like aloof, nice, just innocent like little man, which he is a by all accounts a sweetheart. But he was brothering when he was talking to Sean, and he said, "AEW doesn't even need me right now."
He's such a beast.
You know what that is, actually, Joe, right? You know what that is.
He knows the game a lot better than people give him credit for. Yes. I mean that as a compliment.
Yes, he's brothering there, where he's just kind of. It's just kind of like they don't. They don't need me.
There's no rush. I don't need to hurry back for that.
He's like, they're doing so great right now with all their top guys. Like, I'd get in the way. He's telling that same thing to Tony. He's giving Tony that song where he's like, Tony, like, man, I don't want to take away from what you're doing right now. You guys are rolling with the storyline stuff. Honestly, dude, look, I'll do the dates over there, man. And like, you let me know, but really, I don't want to crash into that. So like, if it takes till like May, dude, I get it. I wouldn't even take it personal. And can you imagine Tony be like, yeah, no, totally, dude. Yeah, like really? Honestly, I'll let you know in like April. And he's just like, all right, man. Yeah, no problem. He fucking turns the phone off, and he's just like, let's fucking go. And he's telling Gator like, dude, yeah, hell yeah, I can do Sakura Genesis, and hell yeah, I could do fucking this show and that show.
Will Chisholm, $5. Is it safe to say, outside of Charlotte, Io, and Bianca, that Naomi is one of the best WWE women's big match wrestlers? She killed it with Nia.
She's quietly had a good series with Nia Jax. The Naomi stuff is the best Nia Jax content since moving to SmackDown. And after a bit of a questionable middle stretch there, where it was a lot of Blair Davenport matches, Naomi has settled into being a very reliably solid presence on the show that's very over. I took note that people are really into her match.
People love her, yeah.
Yeah.
Big match wrestler feels like a weird description.
It's a real description of
it. Yeah, like Naomi's nice, but I wouldn't even put her on like the same planet as those three.
Well, of course.
She doesn't wrestle a lot,
you know.
She doesn't like wrestle a lot of big matches. I'm not even blaming her for that. Like it's just she's not someone who like. I think Naomi's been. You know, I think she's always made the most of what the time she's been given, and often it's not been enough. So I say it lovingly. It's just not how I would necessarily describe her. But I haven't seen the Nia match. I'm going to watch it. But she's got in much better form. Like I saw her at a spot show last week with Tiffany, and they had a really good match. So
yeah, she's in good form. You know what it feels like, honestly, Joe? She comes back from the Impact one, where the Impact one was to establish her as like, I'm a serious wrestler who's like actually good and I can have great matches, right? And people kind of had that Naomi coming in, and they're like, well, you should be pushing her to main event level. And it was kind of weird, like where she was slotted, and her performances were very up and down, truthfully, more than like we cared to admit at the time. And then, like I said, middle run, she's working Blair Davenport, and those matches were really, really bad. She's now turned into this like super solid 15-point scorer, Joe, where she's just like, it's just great defense, tremendous defense that's helping the team win, and she's just hitting big shots. And you're like, man, all right.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. She's not you've already said it, but she's on some good form at the moment. No, the match with night it's worth watching, Joe. Yeah, actually is. Victor $9.99. Unbiased answers, but if there was a world, the Elite, Adam and the Bucks, as it seems they had the main issues, went to WWE, and CM Punk stays with AEW on Collision booking, would you take that swap or the night?
I don't think so.
What the Elite? So basically, would you have the Elite and Adam in WWE and Punk still in AEW booking Collision?
When you say would you take that swap, like as what side am I? Like just generally.
I guess you're just
just generally.
That's your reality now. Like as a fan, WWE has like I guess the Elite and Hangman. And
as a neutral fan, I think it would have been interesting as like an experiment. The issue I have with it is I think Punk had like internally very much decided that he wanted to go back and do the World Wrestling Federation again. So I feel like that wouldn't have solved as many things as people may think. That's just my personal belief. Like I don't know.
No, I'd definitely deny that. 100%.
Yeah, I do. I think the Elite. It's weird. Like I don't love everything the Elite always does, and like this year specifically, like the Bucks creatively, it was a weird year, and yet I think if the Elite left AEW, like it would really damage them.
Yeah, bro. Sure. The Elite in WWE, like I know some people try it, like over the years, with the Bucks. And I don't agree with it. They'll try to say like, they wouldn't make it in WWE. I think they'll do all right in WWE, but I do think with the way WWE do things, I think it would kind of like highlight some of the things that they're not as strong at. You know, when you look at their skill set. Whereas in AEW, obviously, it's like they, you know, the ideology of what AEW is kind of like birthed out of fucking Young Bucks. So,
yeah,
I just don't. I think they'd have some success in WWE. I just don't think they would.
There'd be a novelty to it, but it wouldn't be good for the business. And
no,
it's worked out for the best would be generous, but the way it needed to, considering the options at our disposal.
Correct. Correct.
Hangman in WWE, obviously, that could have been interesting, but it's just like
Would have been fascinating.
Fascinating, because obviously he's got the tools, you know what I mean? It's just like, would WWE book him and do him justice, you know?
There's a lot of politics up there. I'm not sure Hanger would be.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's like it's all dependent on the booking. Like he's got the
he would definitely be at
toolbox,
least Rollins shit, though. I think he wouldn't be able to penetrate that fucking brother Illuminati wall that a few guys are in, but I think he would exist in that Rollins Drew McIntyre zone.
He'd have some great matches. He would do that anywhere though, so
Yes.
School $2. Any word on Cope's return?
No.
Mid takes no.
He's getting a lot better. He's getting a lot better.
Seen a lot of talk about Blake Christian this week, unfortunately. I really think he's not bad in ring worker. He just does way too much. Do you guys think he could ever break that habit?
No, and I think he actually is legitimately mechanically awful. I think he's a wrestler that learned steps 5, 6, and 7 before he learns steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you see that in a lot of wrestlers on the independents that are relatively green, where they genuinely, I know this is a cliche that old people say, but they don't know the basics or why you do what, but they just do 5, 6, and 7. And again, it's almost like they wrestle with the mentality of I just need these clips to go viral so that I can retweet them so that I can get more bookings. And I get that that's the system now for a lot of independent wrestlers, and that's how you get paid. But I think he's legitimately an awful. I think he's one of the worst wrestlers in the world that are positioned on a normal platform, a notable platform.
Joshua.
I've seen him live a couple times.
Joshua 14 Czar, best Survivor Series moments. Ziggler 2015 was my favorite.
I don't know. I know. Do you have an answer to this, Joe?
I don't, and that's frustrating me.
Because it's weird.
The Austin Bischoff one is great.
Yeah.
That's the moment feels like a weird word, but that's an all-time great Shawn performance.
I love that match. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm I know people already like it, but Keith Lee at the 2019 Rumble was Survivor Series was electrifying.
That was sick, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I liked when I really like the 2016 match. It's very long. But the one that ends with Bray taking the bullet for Randy is really interesting as a story moment. And I remember being really hopeful they were gonna do something interesting with that. And obviously,
I like the Brock matches with AJ and Bryan.
Oh yeah, those matches are great. The Dolph moment, I assume Joshua's talking about 2014 with when Sting comes in. If that is what you're talking about, because I could be wrong, but that's a classic moment. Yeah, that's Dolph's performance in that match is will always be the leading example that he could have been more than he was.
Yeah.
But,
I don't.
There was no follow up to that, which is crazy.
It's okay. Yeah. It will be researched, deep dive into it. Generations.
God, yeah, I'm kind of mad I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, I think the first 2 Survivor Series ever are really fun shows in full. 88.
Conceptually, I just love Survivor Series, which makes it funny that we've struggled to answer this, but I just love it as the old school Survivor Series.
I'm gonna go with a cliche. So CM Punk returning last year.
Yeah, for real. I mean, that was.
It was sick.
That's one of the craziest moments.
The lazy answer.
You guys know me. I don't really audibly sell stuff in wrestling. I lost my shit for that, dude. I was going nuts.
Can you imagine if you were on air for that, Joe?
Honestly, I'm glad I wasn't because I was going nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Black Yakuza, $5. Time to retire Grandpa Ibu. The TikTok kids run the wrestling scene now. We are in the #cinema era. Cry about it. This is wrestling now.
All I say is this: I will never make fun of Bloodline anything ever again if Roman bleeds in this War Games match. Not Tama Tonga, not Sami Zayn, because he'll definitely put his hand up. Not Solo. Roman Reigns at the mercy of Jacob standing over him, bleeding and throwing uppercuts as he fights back.
We'll see. Razor 199. Becky and Laura equals Bruno and Zbyszko 1980. If done correctly.
Good God. Lofty expectations there.
Yeah, quite, you know. Could have set out MSG with you.
God.
We'll choose them $5. It's gonna be real when Mercedes puts Indy Hartwell in a faction. No, all right, bro.
That's gonna be unfortunate because I'm gonna have to be like be nice about it, and you know.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I mean,
we're not nice about Camille. Like, it's...
well, you're not. I don't say anything. I don't bury her. I just leave it alone.
You're honest about her.
No, I don't.
Whenever I asked you honest, you get me.
I don't comment on Camille. Monty's like in his own like little world because he has his whole Camille thing. I leave it alone.
No, bro. If anyone asks you about Camille, what are you gonna say?
I would say that this is not an act that's helped her, and she's not really getting over. And
exactly. So you just be honest about her.
No, but you just think she outright sucks.
Like, because she does.
Well, there you go. And I'm you know.
SMG $5. I really thought it was Ken Shamrock's time. If he doesn't get the belt in 1999, consider Nitro the winner of this war.
He should make the jump, dude.
He has to go to Japan. I want to see him fight. No. Yes, Joe. Him and Kensuke Sasaki.
He could work Hollywood Hogan for the big gold.
Hogan's not going to know what to do with that, with his style.
All right, fine. Forget Styles starring. Bill Goldberg, Ken Shamrock.
Oh, okay. All right, you got me there. You got me. That's money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Goldberg does a little bit of mixed martial arts himself on his free time.
I've heard about that. Yeah, he's told me it's on 12.
Hell of a striker, apparently.
Yeah.
Velocifactor 499. NXT Loki has a nasty 6-man rotation. Trick Williams.
I just saw this.
Trick Williams, SF Oba O'Neal.
That's small forward, and Oba.
Oh, okay. Go on.
You think Oberfemi is back at center? Yeah, Javon Evans is a shooting guard. Fraxium is a point guard. Tony D'Angelo is power forward.
We're going straight at Tony.
No, but that's not the rotation, bro. That's the sad thing. Because they want to start Lexis King. They want to start Rich Holland. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, bro. They got Javon sat on the bench like a prick. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think
Sean's just a bad coach, bro.
I think Tony D. Joe, I'm driving in every time.
Yeah, he can't stop bad guys, dude.
No.
I'm Team TNA and I got Nemeth fucking driving, dude. to the cup. I might even put Myers on him and see what happens. I don't know.
No. You get tight up by Tony.
I study the business. You know, I'm looking at Fandango. I'm seeing what kind of minutes I can get out of him. You know, I mean, this is a different kind of, you know, this NXT TNA thing is a lot less one-sided than people think, folks. We can compete. That's what I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
Ryan, 699. Sammy seemed to forgive too quick. I think there's a chance him and Kevin Owens take down the Bloodline and Cody simultaneously.
No. I don't know about that because it fits Sammy's personality that his stance was kind of like, look, man, at the end of the day, I want to see that you are good to your cousin Jay because that's who I love. And that's kind of been his stance on the air. It's kind of like, look, man, I'll help you guys out of love for Jay. I'm here for Jay. And if Roman can apologize to Jay, then I'm on board with this whole thing. And I think it's fair for his like personality and like how he's portrayed as a character, to be honest.
I think all the I've not seen one Sami Zayn heel turn pitch that's even like remotely appealing to me.
I don't want to see him as a bad guy anymore ever again.
No. Yeah. And Jean-Pierre $2. Kent must stay. He's in Nihon. # done with the minor leagues.
Look, man, if we could get 60% Kenny New Japan, 40% AEW, I'm with it. Can you imagine a reality show where he just kind of hangs out there and comes to AEW for like big time matches, like just big match? That would be sick.
I legitimately thought this was about Ken Shamrock.
So did I at first. I caught that.
Oddly.
Yeah. Both would be cool.
Good brother Rob, 199 Beast episode. Appreciate you, bro. Ibu, check your DM.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. I have not looked at Twitter in a while. Hopefully this is good news.
Razor 199. Is Punk in the Illuminati brother war?
Yes.
Of course he is, man.
Should we just reveal it? The Illuminati brother wall. The glass ceiling that many wrestlers cannot get into. Roman Reigns, Joe.
Yep.
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne don't even count, bro. He's literally a board member. Like, he's
Roman, all right.
Stop saying Triple H.
Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. Is anyone else in this wall, Joe?
Gunther's trying. Gunther's an aspiring member. He's in training right now.
Yes, exactly. He's had some dinners with these guys. You know,
I'm saying Charlotte Flair as well, bro. She literally does what she wants. Like, she does what she wants. Like, there's no compromise. Like,
yes. Becky bullied Hunter into like booking more like Trish Stratus live segments when he absolutely wanted to just do pre-tapes. There was a stretch. I guess I can reveal this now. There was a stretch in like the spring of 2023 where there's weeks where it would be like Trish Stratus pre-tape where she just states her intentions, and Becky's just kind of like, "No, motherfucker, we're gonna go back and forth in a live segment. And we're gonna go fucking 15 minutes. Fuck you. We're women." You know, he's just kind of like, "All right, hey."
Man, I don't know if the segments were any good, but Beast, regardless.
No, they were really bad. They were like really bad.
Principle is more important, you know.
Yeah, that kind of makes it more Beast. Is that like he was right about like he was right in his call to like make it a pre-tape, and she's like, "Fuck you, we're gonna do it in the segment," and he's just like, "All right," he's just back and has to take it.
That's real star shit right there, dude.
All right.
Is that it?
No, there's two more. The super chat has his name, who I'll never say. 199. Ashante's milkman gimmick is hilarious. It's the worst thing on TV at the moment, bro.
Here's the thing: the concept is funny. I won't say that next take, but the concept is funny. The execution just like it just drives me because you'll see him. You know what it is? The performances are too all over the place. One week, like he'll be good at the kind of like black sitcom character who's a lover boy thing, where he'll just kind of be like, "Why don't you just tell me what you want, baby?" And she'll just kind of be like, "Whatever." But like now she's doing this kind of like sassy, like "I don't want you" thing. But she's like trying to like the idea is like she is interested, and her acting of it is so bad because she's kind of like he's like, "You was watching my match? No, I don't watch your matches. I don't care about your matches." She like does his face like,
and they're roping like a bunch of other people into it as well, who like, and they're in the segments like nodding along while this is happening.
And then like that light guy and that nerd dude, and his whole thing is like he's asexual, so he comes in and he's just kind of like what's the fucking main guy's name? Ashanti. He's like, "Ashanti, man, she's not into you, man. Leave her alone." And like the other white girl walks in, Brinley Reese, and is like, "Hey, other light skinned guy, you want to watch my match tonight?" And he's like, "Of course." And it's like, what the fuck is this? So, yeah, they're doing a Milkman mixed tag this week.
It's very bad. Pablos 2500 CLP. Appreciate you. Not sure what the currency that is, but appreciate it. Is Brock Lesnar a top 10 WWE wrestler all time?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely without even thinking about it.
Oh, I'd say without thinking about it, I'd say probably. But I'm trying to think of the list in my head right now.
There's a lot of great wrestlers, and
so here's the thing: are we just doing pure? See, I was gonna say catalog or just like what they achieved. I think it's he's in it either way, personally.
Well, so your answer is just yes, like you've already said. Like yes,
you pick out the rest of the time and put the order you want.
I want to say no for obvious reasons.
Yeah, right. You know,
well, let's lay them out. So you've got Austin, Brett,
Savage.
He's in that top 10.
Yeah, he's in the 10. He's in
that top 10. I'm telling you,
there's more than those four that I just named. Obviously,
there is, but the fact,
but yeah, it's
I'm
just like
scanning names and like there's only a handful of names that I would be like immediately they're better than him.
Right.
So he's definitely in the 10, you know. But yeah,
it's like Cena, Shawn. There's 6. Ray, race 7.
What the fuck?
You know, he might not. You know, this is what I'm saying. Like
Rey Mysterio's a greater WWE superstar than Brock Lesnar.
I think Ray's like. I think Ray's got like a goat case. So,
No, I think he's
I'm
a
the
goat
wrong
case.
person to
But
ask.
we're talking about WWE, right? Like
I was gonna
this,
say, like,
Okay, fair enough.
what does that argument even look like? You know,
I think when you do like a promotion list, you have to kind of adjust to what that promotion is. That's why I said Savage, because to me, Randy Savage is like a quintessential WWF icon. You know, like the way he had his matches, the personality, the programs, the moments, all that stuff. And Brock,
He's
even a
really
very
not an icon.
he's an icon, but
spite of how
unfortunately,
WWE used him for the majority of his career.
He's WWE usage. He's too good for his own good, dude. He's like always used to get other guys over, you know. So it's just,
so what about
Ray was booked good for like literally 2 years in his entire run.
Hogan is definitely in the top 10.
Hogan is in the top.
100% he's in there.
This is what I'm saying. Brock might not, mate. We've just named like 7 people. Even if you take Ray out, we're still at like 7. Then it's like there's someone said Becky. Do you know what I mean? It's like Becky's got such a mad case that I think it's overlooked so much, and it will just age like wine in like 20 years. You know,
she does. She deserves more respect. But Brock's look. I don't want to have to do this because I'm now.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Brock's resume is insane, ridiculous. And considering what he did as a rookie and then as like a shoot fight attraction,
yes.
Unfortunately, he's in the top 10. Now,
if
anyone's response to that is,
I think when we first asked it, it's not, well, I don't know where. Obviously, Ibu was like so strong. Yes, Ibu, like Joe thought about it for a few seconds. I was kind of like strongless, and now I'm kind of like, well, you could say he's like on the fringes, like on like the bottom half of the list.
To me, it's like when I think like the goats of WWE. Like my mind goes straight to like Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena. Then you throw in like
someone said Triple H.
he's a top 20 WWE superstar of all time.
He probably is.
He's not funny,
isn't he?
Right? No, he's not. So look, I go like Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena. Right? Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena. That's 4. And then I throw in like, fucking Taker for like, all that stuff. Taker. You could do Savage.
I didn't even say Taker.
All right, but and
Brett,
Cena.
7. I already said Cena. I'm at 7. Dude. You're not gonna confuse me to duplicate.
No, but like I said, we're already at 7. This is what I'm saying. So like, this is what I mean by like he's on like the lower end of the list. But
sure.
There's an argument there.
I get what you mean. Like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Shawn and Shawn. You got Dragon. You got Foley. I get what you're saying.
This is what I mean. It's not what considering like I was not quite where Ibu was, but kind of close to where Ibu was when I first saw the Super Chat, and now I'm like, actually, like it's like Roman. I mean, it said Roman.
Yeah,
that's
Roman.
I mean, there's a lot of people where you kind of like,
yeah, but it's like it's
Eddie. I've already said
the actual answer with respect to Pablo, because I appreciate the question. It's actually sparked a good conversation. These get very difficult because what you end up doing is you just reward people that stuck around the longest, which also feels like an issue. You know what I'm saying? It's like because it's like Eddie would his issue would be like it's not a long enough run, but then the counter to that should be like, who gives a fuck? People still do his high spots and do the Eddie chants. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like
2005 was impactful enough to like still be like talked about, posted about, emulated, highlighted, all that stuff.
Yeah, then all of his stuff on the rise to like becoming like a main event world champion he's still so good. Like he's, do you know what I mean? So it's not even like, oh well, he only had his run on top for like a couple of years, if that, He's like, because you can throw in all of his work into his argument, like literally all of it. So that's what I mean. It's an interesting one. Like, it isn't as obvious as a first 4. I would probably lean towards yes still, but again, I don't think it's as obvious as a first 4 it was.
It may even be like number 9, number 10, but I think he's like somewhere there.
We could do something with this as a separate video, but we'd have to come up with clear criteria as to like
who are
what we're ranking.
Yeah. I also have a separate list for like who are the best wrestlers to wrestle in WWE, and be pushed. And like, what happened?
No, don't worry.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just Ray is actually a great example of why this conversation is challenging. Because, like, if I'm just doing a wrestler list, I agree he's like a GOAT level candidate, but I just think the way they do things, he's capped in a way that's just like hard to overcome. I think
you guys are gonna roll your eyes, but like the truth is, just from his Fed career, Kurt Angle absolutely deserves a shout. 100%.
No,
I was waiting. I was literally waiting for you to say Kurt, to be honest.
Kurt's around there. He'd be a very hard candidate to put over Brock. I know you're not doing that, but like just because Brock had the comeback, you know what I'm saying? Like Brock matches him as a rookie, and then has a comeback, the whole comeback run.
The thing is, Kurt outlasted Brock's rookie run for another 3 years in the company.
For sure.
Did really like high end stuff in those things. Like
Kurt's in there.
I was gonna say, in the year after Brock was gone, he does the Kurt Angle series, you know, and like
Kurt's definitely in the top 20. I'd have to sit down and really think about it.
I think he's top 15 easy.
I'm not saying top 10.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I think in a few years, I'm not sure. How do you think Kevin Owens' legacy will age?
Very well.
I think I think there's a chance that people will throw him into these conversations.
I think him and Zayn will start getting like thrown in this type of stuff.
Main event of Mania twice as well. No,
the thing with Kevin is like the scary thing about him is his story's not finished, which is crazy because if it ended tomorrow,
he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, easy. Special talent. Like
Joe, just imagine if he like does beat Cody Rhodes and like has like a heel, an ambitious heel title run like next year. You know what I mean? Like, this guy was already like stamped.
He's so good. I've always used the comparison, but he very much does have like Foley ingredients, right? And he's spectacular. And he's also, I mean, you work in these things about like the narratives of these guys, that's interesting to me too. That's something that would work against Brock in the sense that Brock was like the hand-picked king, right? They made him champ within months. There's a charm to someone like Kevin Owens who really had no right to main event WrestleMania, and yet guess what? He did it. Like twice, yeah. And I mean, did it with his best friend alongside him against his hero the other year. So it's an interesting conversation. Very fun.
Yeah, a good one too.
There's some fun suggestions in here, but I don't think really make it. But just them being brought up is Batista.
No,
Batista wouldn't make it.
I love Batista, man.
He's prime. He was so fucking cool. Like,
yeah,
which is far more important than this stuff.
AJ
had a hell of a run, yeah.
AJ's
redacted
5.
I think AJ. I'm intrigued when the kids. I wonder if enough kids are watching 2010's WWE that he'll be like, that run he had will become like, lore. Like how the kids that grew up on Brett talk about how Brett matches were like the only thing they liked on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something, folks. Before Brian came back to the ring, there was a couple years there in 2016, 2017 where AJ Styles was like one-man show,
Yeah, that's
surprised it took this long for someone in the chat to say
Jericho, yeah, man. Jericho had a great run. Yeah.
Jericho's top 20, probably.
So he fucking sucks now, but
Oh yeah,
he's Chris Jericho at the end of the day.
And speaking of 2016, fucking that list of Jericho stuff was the only good thing on Raw at all.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is true.
And that's him as an older guy. So yeah.
It's funny, Joe. At the time, I was like the guy I wasn't bearing it, but like when people were just like, oh "My God, this is just next level." People were really raving about that and Matt Hardy's broken shit in TNA, and I was very just kind of like, out of both of those things, I was like, that's fine.
I get it. I do think the Festival of Friendship thing is like a genuine classic segment, though.
It is, and like
the
whole thing hit me eventually, and like I respected it over time. But like in real time, like when everyone's like all hyped about all that stuff, like I was more just into like what AJ was doing on SmackDown rather and like NXT.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really do like. I mean, I'm putting myself over with this, but I think there is something to that comp of like AJ matches being a different thing on the show, the way Brett's were back in the day. Like I really think there's something to that. Look, TNK just brought it up. We can all think we will. Seth Rollins will be in these conversations, folks. I'm telling you, feel how you want about it. The kids that have grown up on Seth Rollins, he is a big part of their fandom, man.
People already kind of tweet about like how he's like one of the
Mr. SummerSlam and shit. Yeah, man.
All that stuff, like just Seth's historical significance in general.
Yeah, man.
I'm putting Becky in before Seth.
WWE did something
all day, like all day.
WWE is doing something that kind of pops me. I got to be honest with you, which is this is what adult promotions do, Joe, is when they tape something and air it in a completely different order when it makes to TV because you know what I mean. So like Rhea Ripley came back, and this was the end of the double taping, and on the but it was a hot angle, and so on air like they had that be the opener of Raw, even though that was how the show ended. So. I just think stuff like that is neat. I love
that pops me. Yeah. I'm a WCW guy. Of course, that pops me.
I was gonna say, dude, the fact that like there's things that happen on this show that chronologically, like, for the fan, happened after SmackDown, but like the SmackDown is setting up those events is just so sick. Like that's so like it's so like old, you know. But yeah.
All right.
That the last super chat.
Yeah, that was the last about the Brock top 10.
Well.
Some people are going to say, you know, we've spoke so much about different people. There's no point even.
I mean, if you want to just throw out the last couple names, go for it. If you had any.
Nah, no one that wouldn't be. Everyone that I'd name would be like a top 20 probably, but not a top 10.
I am curious who you're thinking of though. Now because
once he stopped himself.
The chat. It was the chat. The chat said Edge Orton. Then like Joe's card for some reason made me think of Andre
Jacobs. Oh yeah.
Who?
Well, that's the other problem. This is the other
Andre.
Are we doing like WWF? What is our timeline? Because that's the other issue.
You know? I'm gonna do national.
Bruno Sammartino.
No.
Yeah, because it's hard, right? Like I mean,
I'll do national expansion onward. So I'm doing 84 onward, right? And I would say Andre for just strictly his WWF career and contributions from 1984 to roughly 1990-ish. I'd say he's top 25.
Here's the problem.
Go ahead.
Significance. If we're being completely honest,
Mania 3 is that shoots him so high up.
The issue is, with respect to Andre, icon, by that point in his life,
he's fucked.
Like to say his catalog is, you know, but then the response, but the issue with it is like Andre wasn't supposed to be having, you know, the Eddie Guerrero matches. That's where it gets hard, right? It's very difficult to compare a Kurt Angle 6 years to an Andre the Giant 6 years. It's just difficult.
So what do you value more? But I think off Mania 3 alone, even with some of the other issues and the fact that he really couldn't move at all, I think he's still like top 25.
Edge just off aura, you know.
Edge's legacy in pro wrestling as a whole is a very weird one for me because I don't know what to do. Because here's the thing, there's a certain section of hardcore fans, Joe, and you've seen them, that like don't rate him at all in general, right? Like in general, don't even rate. Like they would tell you he's not like a top 500 pro wrestler ever and all that other stuff. And like it's weird because I'm not one of those people who's like, man, Edge is like the GOAT, and like, man, if you go back, like he was fucking like Kobashi out there, but I will say like he had a very good WWE career. He had a very good WWE career. He was a main eventer within their parameters for a stretch. He was a part of some very innovative matches throughout his time, and he was over within like their scope and their parameters. Never a draw at all, but I respect him, and it's a tough one to place. It's like, where do you place him?
Okay, I'll give you 3 names, right?
Okay.
Triple H.
Okay.
Edge, Randy Orton.
Triple H is above all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No.
I'm
not putting Triple H above Randy, you know.
He has the best peak, but I'm not sure about that because I think his lows are.
It's not even low. No, but he has the best peak, as in like in ring, and I guess kind of like how we would rate a wrestler. But the most iconic peak out of all 3 of them is like bald Randy. I'd say.
I think that's like Twitter shit. To me,
no, bro. It's what we fucking grew up on. It's not Twitter shit. If it's from fucking 8 or whatever, 09, whenever the fuck
but we say that.
I know what you mean. Like they're the people who like hype it up and shit. You know,
you look up the houses on those shows, bro, and you'll find out that they were in front of 6,000 people for Raw. And it's like you look at like Triple H and Rock's program, and like it's like doing like. Think about this: the WWF at their white hot era lose Steve Austin for a whole year and lose nothing across any metric when the baton was passed to Rock and Hunter, just kind of doing shit at the top of the shows. And to that I say that meant that like the people were moved by this, and he was the right villain at that point. And like it is a very brief peak, but what I would say is like that whatever it is, December 99 to like April 2000 or May 2001 stretch, I'd take that over like anything Randy and Edge did as main event heels.
What I like about this topic,
I agree that like Triple H, for the things we look for, had the best peak comfortably, but in terms of like the most iconic, what has stuck the most,
The evolution,
Bald Randy is 100% more like
he got
revered, it's more spoken about, it's more fondly remembered, it's more brought up, all these different things that make something actually iconic, even if we do think the Triple H peak was better, which I do think it was. So
here's my thing. No, beyond that, even the era where he like supposedly sucked, and a lot of it did suck. You got the Mania 20 main event, and then you got like him getting over Dave Bautista with Evolution in like a 2 to 3 year.
Yeah, but there's a couple, bro. Come on, you know better than that.
I mean,
you know better than that. They're like 2002, 2003. He is like disgusting. Like seriously,
he's gross, and yet every year, like besides 03, like 03 is like top to bottom. There's nothing there, but all those years where Hunter like was just gross, right? There's 1 to 3 matches that are like WWE canon notable great match, like 2002 SummerSlam, the Shawn Michaels deal, and like the whole
for sure. But the problem is like, so this is why I think this is an interesting one, because I don't have a strong opinion on this.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up. Like, my least favorite of those guys, if I was doing like a big bold prime for prime, would be Edge, which is fun because I think Edge is by far the most consistent of those three. Like,
Edge in that run is never like just dog shit for like a month or something.
Because just on effort and like energy, he's such a reliable, safe bet, and that even carried through to his comeback. You know, Randy, I love Randy's work, and in terms of like when they're all on their game, who would I like to watch? Randy's work is terrific, but Randy can be, you know,
mercurial as fuck.
Yeah, and he's had stretches of his career that were terrible. You know, especially there are big time matches where he was just not up to it. So that's why I think it's a fun conversation. I don't have a strong opinion on it. Like, I think they all have interesting cases where they were like good supporting characters, you know, great supporting characters, not necessarily leading men. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
Is it? I think
Randy's still adding to his WWE legacy now, bro. Like we've said
really
it. We've said it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like we've said it over the past couple of years. Like this is some of his best career work.
Mike, I'll put it to you this way: I think Randy Orton this decade, if he didn't have this decade on his catalog, I would say he's like one of the most overrated wrestlers like ever. Because
the best way to pay this conversation off is Ryan's comment that just popped out in the live chat. This is the best way to end this conversation. Ryan's like 5 comments up. All 3 of them have their best match with Foley. That's the actual conclusion. Ryan's right. I was wrong to even. That's the conclusion. That shows you the greatness,
the magic,
of Mick Foley. You know, who mechanically, obviously, is nowhere near any of those guys in terms of the technique of his moves, but all-time great.
What makes it awesome too is in all 3 of those matches, it's working with Mick that gets them over the hump as main event heels. For all 3 of them,
100%. Yeah, he makes, especially like. The Randy thing is a huge moment for Randy, dude. Like, to the point where if you ask someone what's their favorite Randy match, it's like
they're still
the first response. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
that's why Mick does have to be like get a shot in like the top 15. I think.
Yeah, he made people, bro. So many iconic moments that he was involved in as well. You know,
he has like Taker's like he has Taker's only good match for fucking 18-ish month stretch. Like it's crazy.
And that's not even talking about his promos and like just his influence, his significance.
January
4th. Sorry, go for it.
No, I was gonna say it was January 4th, 99.
Yeah, which is incredible, and like I truly believe he's the actual 3rd man. Like when we talk Rock Austin, and then you go into that next tier, right? Triple H, Undertaker. But I think Foley's the 3rd man. You know, like I think.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I took from it as well when I did kind of like the pandemic rewatch of the Attitude Era. I just watched it. It's like Foley's so instrumental to like why these moments mean something, you know.
The show we watched yesterday,
and his appeal was totally different too, you know.
Joe, think about like how much Mick was adding to the Survivor Series that we watched, like on like so many levels. You know what I mean? And yeah, he's tremendous.
Yeah, man.
So this was a ton of
fun. We got two left. Jumanji Hunter $2. Over under 1.5 pay-per-view wins to 2025 Gable and Andrade.
combined over individually. I don't know about Chad. I think Andrade will have 2 pay-per-view wins in 2025. I will say that. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Chad Gable.
Victor 499. Brian Danielson versus question mark in Arena Mexico. Mask versus hair. Who's your pick and why?
It depends on if Brian's a babyface or a heel. If Brian's a babyface, I'd like to see him work Rocky Romero in Arena Mexico, because Rocky is like a main event heel.
He's so old, yeah.
Yeah, that would like legitimately be like a 4.5-star match. If Brian's a bad guy working a luchador, I'd like to see him personally with an Atlantis Jr.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That would just be meat and
So
potatoes.
long, yeah.
That's like legitimately a wine wrestling match.
Oh man, good shit. So, all right, that actually is all the super chats. I think.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm seeing Zelina Vega do a Three Amigos here, but this is a really fun show. A little bit too good. I was looking for more. I was looking for more. Coliseum home video, but we got like what I call this.
I let him down, bro. He's so disappointed right now.
You worked way too fucking hard there, brother. Maybe it's the professional pride that kicked in, and we just told the folks, listen, man, we're giving you guys a 3 3/4. But you need those in your life, and I had a lot of fun with this podcast. The podcast about nothing, which honestly generated a lot of really good wrestling conversation. So I thank Joe. I thank Monty. Apologize to you guys for starting late again. Sometimes me and Joe get heated backstage arguing about things that I won't speak about on air, and you guys will never find out about it. But I thought this was a hell of a show. I had a lot of fun. And on behalf of everybody, thank you so much. Make sure to like the video on the way out if you have not done so. Leave a comment too. Please leave a comment. Know that I'm taking podcasting bookings. So if you want to book me on your podcast, just DM me and let me know. The Discord is coming with the guys. I will be live on the Raw review tomorrow. And I may actually talk about Raw this week. We'll see. Beyond that, man, just log in and not log in. Follow us on the socials. And so for Joe, for Monty, I'm Ibu WrestlePurists, and we'll see you guys next time.